What's up, guys, and welcome back to College Football 25, where today we're going to be rebuilding the Florida Atlantic Owls with only recruits that are designated as athletes. So that means if they're in the portal as a quarterback, a wide receiver, a free safety, we're not going to be able to go after them, only the ones that have that versatility as an athlete. Now, obviously, there are a couple challenges with that, with obviously the sheer amount of athletes in the portal, also their interest in you, as well as the interest in other schools that are out there. So, again, obviously it was much more difficult with one-star recruits in our last rebuild, so I think this one's going to go a little bit better. But the fact that there is a limited amount of athletes out there, and we don't know how many stars they are, means that, again, that is going to be the big challenge here. But we did end up picking the Florida Atlantic Owls, a team that has kind of struggled recently. They had a couple good years back in 2017 through 2019 where they ended up winning 2 Conference USA championships, as well as a couple bowl games, but obviously been kind of stalling around in mediocrity for the last decade and a half. So let's go out there, let's improve them, and make them a powerhouse here in the American Conference. But now we get a chance to go see who we can actually get off this prospect list. And from the looks of it, all the guys that are 5 stars or 4 stars pretty much do have a deal breaker that we cannot break. But again, we have a chance of getting a couple of these other guys. And thankfully, we actually do have a 4-star who is pretty interested in us. But let's load some of these guys up and let's see if we can actually land some of them too. Now, one of the things we do need to do though is actually look at some of their tendencies, because we don't really want to get a lot of guys that are receiving backs or power backs or stuff like that, because again, even though they are going to be pretty versatile, we want to make sure that they have different tendencies. That way we know that they're going to be better at certain positions. And even though there are a lot of guys to choose from, we're only going to put 24 on the board. Even though Upshaw here is going to be a bust, we're still going to actually go after him, especially with that 93 speed. He's got pretty decent catch in traffic, but we'll improve that over time. But as I was saying, we're going to keep it to 24 targets right now because we only have 500 hours, so it's not like we're really going to have a lot of time to scout these guys. So better to actually focus on a lot of these guys than really kind of spreading the hours around. And I'm really hoping that we can get Jake Lemons here. He's not a gem or anything like that, but he's a scrambling quarterback with 96 throw power and some really good accuracy. And if not, Khalil Babers might actually be that. 91 throw power, 88 speed, and he is a 4-star gem. Now, I'm going to give myself about 5 or 6 seasons to be able to get them up to a national championship level. It's going to be a little tough, don't get me wrong. But hey, Josh Nunn is going to be a gem. If we can find more guys like this, it might be a little bit easier. But since we don't have a lot of hours, obviously we're not able to scout everyone, but we'll have to go into the next week, put some hours on some guys, and maybe scout the other guys as well. At least offer them some scholarships, just so we can get on their board. But we do need to figure out how to best really spread around these hours, and honestly, I think we're going to go hard for the guys that are gems and the guys that are 4 stars as well. But with 400 hours, I don't know how else we're really going to distribute these hours, especially since if we're sending the house on a lot of these guys, it's not like we're going to have any extra hours to put on some of these other 4 stars. We just got to hope that some of them don't get up to their top 8 too quickly. So maybe the motivator path wasn't the right one to go down. We should have went down the recruiting one, but that's okay. We're still going to be okay. And also, again, just like all the other rebuilds, we're only going to be hopping into the games that we have people visiting. As we see 4 guys locked us out already, so they're not going to be coming. And that is rough because a lot of them are 4 stars. But again, they're being recruited by teams like Georgia, Auburn, and Arkansas. So, and it would have been tough regardless, but at least we have extra hours to put on other guys. I mean, it might not be a lot of hours, but it's enough to be able to get in on every single 4-star and a couple of the other 1-stars that we really want to look at. Thankfully, some of these guys are still in their top 10, so it's not like we're going to lose them right away. And thankfully, we pull out a win in our first game of this dynasty, and it is against a Big Ten opponent. We'll definitely take that all day. Maybe that'll help us with recruiting a little bit, and thankfully for us, Mokafisi is now in his top 5, which means that we can potentially schedule a visit, and maybe we can actually go for the hard sell if we can find the right combination. And even though we found the right one, we do not have a lot of good grades over there, so we really need to find ways to improve some of those. The rough thing is we're only going to be able to bring in 1 guy for a visit because week 3 is coming up next week, but we're going to bring Jake Lemons, the 4-star athlete quarterback, and let's sell that proximity to home, and let's see if we can actually get him right away so we can free up a lot of other hours. Plus, honestly, I'm just kind of itching to play a game. But let's go. First conference matchup against Army. Let's see if we can pick up a dub right here and go 1-0 in conference. And we don't. That's okay. You know what? First year of the Dynasty, we're going to be fine. Besides, we have a lot of good recruits that I think could come in and make a big impact pretty soon. So let's end up bringing them in on visits later in the year, and let's see if we can stack that one pretty well too. I don't know if you can get complimentary visits for athletes or anything like that, but we'll figure it out. Either way, thankfully, we finally get to hop into our first game. It is a rivalry game against Florida International. We had the overall advantage, but not by much. Let's see if we can go out there and win our first game. I want to see how good this team is. Well, apparently not good enough right now. They're sitting first and goal with only a minute left as they're up 3-0. And unfortunately, they get in the end zone as well. But we are not coming out of this game empty-handed. We still do have a chance to win, so we don't need to be extremely worried. Thankfully, we pick it up right there and get the first down. But let's see what we can get here. We go for the RPO. He's blitzing, so let's go. Nice little spin move. Coombs, let's go. Gets all the way down to the 20-yard line. What a move. Maybe I just need to get used to this offense, that's all. This isn't too bad, actually. I really, again, can't complain until we end up throwing the pick. All right, so maybe we are getting out of here empty-handed. And, man, you can tell we're definitely desperate as we're going for it on 4th and 14 on the 4-yard line. Holy cow. Let's see if we can get lucky here. Gets the aggressive catch. Let's go. Let's keep it going. I forgot to hop in, so we're down to a 4th and 15 now. This is going to be a lot of yards to be able to pick up. Oh, no, that's not caught, and we turn it over. And unfortunately, we do end this rivalry game scoreless. Okay, hopefully we can find some really good guys in the portal to be able to bring in on offense because, man, that was a little rough. So maybe not a winning week, but at least we didn't lose the guy who ended up visiting. Now, we're going to have a chance to schedule a couple more visits because they're going to be coming up pretty soon. And unfortunately, we got locked out on Khalil Papers. No. Unfortunately, it's because of playing style, and unfortunately, Auburn is creeping up on us. We're still number 1, but we really need to improve that. So if we want him back, we're going to have to find more ways to get some yards. And hey, we do get a complimentary visit with the athletes, so let's end up bringing Mokafisi in there. Plus, if we win, we get a +3. You kidding me? But if we don't end up winning anytime soon, I don't know if any of these guys are going to end up committing. But we're 1-3 right now, which is extremely rough, but kind of how I was expecting this to start. And that's unfortunate because I thought that he was going to be a really good player. But since we ended up losing week 3, I think that's why he ended up deciding not to come. But since we need to get some more guys, let's start recruiting some of these guys too. Put some hours on these guys just so we can get a little more interest from them because it's really tough to see them not necessarily having us first on their board. And even though these guys haven't really been scouted, we need to get some more guys on scholarship. So let's end up offering them, and we're going to have to hurry up and get a couple more guys on the board or get some of these guys to sign. Thankfully, we are pretty close on some of these guys, and the fact that we're facing FCS Southeast right here, I think that means that we have a pretty automatic win, and hopefully we can get a couple of these guys to sign. Well, thankfully, we do win, and Cam Fancher, 377, 4 touchdowns, player of the week. Let's go. But unfortunately, again, no one ends up signing. And thankfully, because of that performance, Babers ends up opening it right back up. So let's kind of start over here and send the house again. Let's see if we can get them interested. Now, due to our limited hours, we only have 2 guys that are going to be coming in next week, so we're going to have to try to load up some of the later weeks. And one of those guys was going to be Mokafisi, but he ends up signing right away. Love that. And even though that does free up some hours, that does mean that, unfortunately, we only have 1 guy visiting this week again. But we do free up 40 hours to be able to schedule Babers for a matchup here against South Florida. And let's hope we can actually sign him because, again, he's a damn good player, and I'd love to have him on this team next year. And I did not realize the type of matchup that we were getting into. North Texas is 5-0 already this season. Another conference matchup. They're an 80 overall, but I think we can match up well with them. Let's just have a better game than we did against Florida International. And I definitely say we're doing better because we've actually gotten in the end zone. 7-7 right now. We are in the red zone. As we'll just take the check down here. We could have waited for that to develop on the slant, but we'll take the 2nd and inches. That's going to give us a really good opportunity to get into the end zone right here. As we'll take the drag again. Hangs onto it and gets all the way down to the 1-yard line. I actually like Coombs here. I think he can be really good for us. And we will have him for 1 additional year because he is a junior. So it'll be nice to know that we'll have someone who's really reliable. As we go for the jet touch pass, just cut it up. And we get stopped. And here I am thinking he actually has the power to pound that one in. But let's go. Our halfback definitely can. Look at that line up front. But we really need to hold them right here on 3rd and 4. Coming down to the end of the 3rd quarter. No back set. Come on. Oh, they're going to just go for the quarterback run. We should have known that was going to happen. That's such a North Texas thing to do. You know what I mean? Either way, let's get there. 3rd and 4 yet again. No more QB draws. Let's get through there. Way to go, Wheeler. There we go. Jones gets him down. Fumbles it after he goes down, but 4th and 14, maybe out of field goal range. But not only were they able to get the field goal, but they got 1 more score as well. And now we are down by 3 with 39 seconds to go with 0 timeouts. This does not look extremely promising. But let's see, maybe we can get a deep shot right here. There we go. No, he drops it. Things are looking bleak. but it is not out of the realm of possibilities. We end up getting that up to Platt, and he's going to get out of bounds at the 45. So we're getting really close to field goal range, almost on their side of the field. And let's see, someone's got to get open. Nope, we're just going to run it. And we get the first down up to the 11. That's great and everything, but that wasted a good amount of time. 11 seconds to go. Let's go. Get him out there on the sideline. What a catch. Let's go on the 33. So coach doesn't think we have time to run one more play. I disagree. Let's go. Let's get out there. We just can't get sacked. Just throw it out. Okay. We weren't going to find anyone. We need at least 1 second. So let's go. Big field goal to be able to tie it. They ended up icing us. We can do this, though. That might be good. That splits the uprights, and we go to overtime. Well, we got a little bit of a glitch here. They're starting on our 30 or on their 34. That's rough here in overtime. That makes no sense. Oh my gosh. Well, now they're going to get in range where they should be for overtime. But unfortunately, they would score. So we need to do the same right here. As we'll end up scrambling out. Oh, we got plenty of space. Little spin move. That's what I'm talking about, getting all the way down to the 9. And it is nice to have a quarterback that actually has some pretty good speed. Hopefully we can continue to have that here in this dynasty, but he can't get the ball out quickly. Could have been a really good game if he did, but that was not quite in the cards. We'll take the drag. Hayes gets down to the 3. Thought that wasn't going to be the case, and now we're down to our last play. Come on, let's get in. There we go. Gets wide open, and we get the score. We go to double. So let's just go out there and do the same damn thing that we just did, baby. Let's go now. Go for the fake jet. Let's go up the middle. Decent blocks. But we just couldn't hit the hole, but we get 4. Now we're going to be dumb and actually go for that jet touch pass. Let's see if we have the speed here. Get to the outside. Great blocks. Let's go. We do. Hayes gets out. Nice little spin move. Gets down to the 4. Come on. We really need to set the tone here and get into the end zone. Let's go. Get to the outside. Finds a big hole. Pounds his way in, baby. Let's go. And that is how we end it. I thought that we were on offense first, but that's okay. We win 30-24, and we take this dub over undefeated North Texas. So would you look at that? Nice little win right there, and a great way to come back from that Florida International game. As Josh Nunn decides to end up committing, that's great, and we don't lose anyone else. And would you look at that again? Babers ends up locking us out again because of the playing style. We just need to throw a little bit more. But hey, being 500 midway through the season isn't too bad. We actually have a shot of getting that goal of making a bowl game if we end up winning those 6. And Fancher so far this season, 1,500 yards midway through the season, 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Need to clean that up. Campbell Jr. averaging 3.9 with 4 touchdowns. And then Hayes, Coombs, and Johnson as our lead receivers there. 285, 329, and 387. Along with 3 1-and-1 touchdowns. Our tight end's got a couple of touchdowns too, but hey, let's start to work Coombs in there. Again, someone that I think is going to be really good. And Hayes is only a sophomore too. He might be good down the line as well. But realistically, we do want to use the guys that we end up recruiting. They're going to be our star players down the line because these guys aren't going to be here forever. And unfortunately, someone that we did schedule for week 10, Nick Hops, did end up committing to Florida State. Why? So let's make up for that by bringing in another elusive back here, and let's see if we can sell him. And thankfully, Babers ends up opening it back up again. Is this guy ever going to make up his mind? So we have 4 guys that are coming in for week 10. We got Hager, Boatwright, as well as Upshaw and Babers, and let's hope that we can sign at least one of them. And even though we've had 2 guys signed so far, and they're both gems, they're only 3 stars. Let's see if we can get a 4-star. But unfortunately, it ain't going to be Boatwright who was supposed to visit this week. He ended up going to UNC. So let's go. We have 3 4-stars coming this week against USF. So let's go out there and pick up a win against this 81 overall team. And I will say it is very sad to see the lack of fans here, but hey, we're a 3-3 team that only has 7 points against USF right now in the 3rd quarter. Kind of don't blame them. See if we can pick up the first down here and keep this going a little bit. We get Coombs, of course, for the first down. So let's get into the end zone and extend the lead, why don't we? Let's go. Let's keep this up. Let's scramble out. We got some room. Get the block for me. Thank you, buddy. That's what I'm talking about when we get down to the 8. It's nice to have guys that do their job, am I right? So let's get into the end zone right here. Let's go. We get it out to Coombs, and he turns it up into the end zone. Still hold the lead here with about 3 minutes left. Let's even run this clock out here. Let's get that jet touch pass. Oh, we got some speed. Johnson gets down. He's got some big yardage here. Nice little juke in, and we're on their side of the field. Let's run it down. We don't need a ton of points here. We just need a big win, and I think we can do that. But here on 3rd and 8, we got to pass for this to be able to get the first down, and oh no, we're not going to, and we're going to have to punt. Or we can actually go for the long field goal. We know he's got some good range. Just a matter of being accurate. Does that have the distance? It does not. Just a little bit more power. If I would have just taken it to the end, we would have been fine. Either way, 4th and 5. Let's put an end to this game right here. Oh, that was a quick pass. And yeah, that... No way he stays on his feet. Take him down. So let's go. We need to put an end to this game right now. And they end up getting in the end zone. Oh my gosh, they went for the 2-point conversion and got it. Are you kidding? What are they thinking? Well, actually, obviously a winning mentality because that ended up working. And yeah, it's going to go down. That's my fault for not running down the clock a little bit more. 2nd and 10. We got 21 seconds. And all 3 timeouts, thankfully. But is that going to be enough? As Tucker gets it, gets all the way down to the 50. Let's go. All we need is a field goal. We know that our kicker has a pretty good leg. Let's see if we can get this out to the sideline. There we go. What a throw! What a catch as well. Coombs down to the 35. Coach wants to run for this one, center the kick, and be able to pick up the field goal for the win. Let's go. Great blocks. At least we center it. Let's call a timeout now. So can you believe it's going to all come down to another field goal? Let's get it this time. Does it have the distance? We got it, baby! That's what I'm talking about. We pick up the win with the field goal. And we get out of this one with a win, despite the fact that we played that really, really terribly at the end. And hopefully we're going to get someone to be like, hey, yeah, I want to go to that school. Not the prettiest score. Could be a scoregami, but hey, 16-14. We'll take the dub. By the way, if you guys made it this far into the video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't hit the subscribe button, please make sure to go down and do so. We just hit 100 subs pretty recently. And man, I really appreciate all the support. So we don't pick up any. Upshaw ends up committing to Auburn, and Babers locks us out yet again. Are you kidding? So this list is really starting to look a little pathetic right now. We're still going to keep them up here because why not? Let's hope they still ends up committing. You never know. Hopefully we can get some more yards in this game against East Carolina, who's 7-1. It's going to be a tough matchup. Can we still stay over 500? Well, we end up losing Eric Bullen to Miami, unfortunately. And we do end up losing that game as well. We are 4-5 this season. Come on, we need 2 more wins to be bowl eligible. We are having a serious issue closing a lot of these guys out, but that really needs to happen. And that is going to happen hopefully after this game against Temple. The next 2 games are ones we're going to hop into because we have people who are visiting. But let's just hope that Sim is nice to us here. It was not, and now we just have to win out to be able to make a bowl game. But since we got 40 hours, let's take a couple guys that we haven't put on the board yet and put them on there. Why not? I think they could be pretty decent. A couple of these 3-stars too. And thankfully we did the right thing because Freddie Deer here is a run stopper that is a 3-star gem. Now we are going to have to hit some of these guys hard at the end as well as the transfer portal because we do not have a lot of guys that are committed. And again, we're having a hard time closing the door on some of these guys. But if we can win this game against Charlotte, hopefully everyone that ends up visiting is going to commit after this game. But if we can't even score against Charlotte, who is 1-9, how are we going to get any interest in some of these guys as we end up getting hit as we throw 2nd and 10? But come on, we've come back before. We can definitely do it again as we lofted up, just not close enough. And they may not think that we should go for a pass here, but we're going to do it anyways, damn it. We need to win this game, and if we're going to do that, we need to be a little more aggressive, and that was probably not the right call. And at this point, if we get anyone to sign, it's going to be a pity sign. Because holy cow, man, we are not looking good. Getting to the sideline, though, and he hangs on to it. So at least it doesn't look like we're going to leave without some points, but at the same time, we're still not looking great. But Coombs gets into the end zone. We got our first score of the game, but can we actually come back at this point? And that's rough that we can't even beat 1-9 Charlotte. 26-7, terrible game. And hopefully these recruits are going to look at our team and be like, wow, they do need some help. Maybe we should go there. But that's okay, though. It's not going to be a great season. We might be on the hot seat a little bit, but we do get Joey Hager to sign. That is actually great. The positive thing is everyone that's on our list, we're number 1 up there for them. Problem is, there just aren't a lot of them. And my bad, I don't know why I thought that we had an extra game that we were going to hop into, but we do not. Our last one's going to be against Tulsa. we can advance through this, and hopefully we don't lose anyone in the recruiting pool. Well, here's one that signed with the team and ended up being us, Corey Ringo. That's great. Problem is, we are not bowl eligible, and we have still yet to sign one 4-star. All of them have been off our list now. And since we do have 70 hours, I want to find another couple guys to be able to put on our list, but unfortunately, it looks like we had a deal breaker on a lot of them, and a lot of other ones ended up signing with other schools, so might actually be done for the rest of the season in terms of putting more guys on the board. We might have to wait for the transfer portal. But thankfully, there are a couple extra guys, so maybe we'll put them on the board and maybe we can actually find a gem here. And thankfully, there's a free up of some hours right there as Eric Peppers decides to sign. And we're going to need more commits if we really want to improve on this season, because Fancher, 25 touchdowns, 12 interceptions with 2,700 yards. Not bad, not horrible, but we can definitely improve on that. Campbell, 6 touchdowns, 705 on the ground. And Coombs was our leading receiver with 5 touchdowns, 699. Hayes, 635 and 5 touchdowns as well. And Johnson, who's it's last year right now, 544 and 4 touchdowns. That's great. Now our defense definitely can improve a little bit. Not a ton of pressure. Very low on the TFLs. Jones and Bradley were the most sacks, 4 and 3. And of course interceptions. That's great that Hill had 4, but he's going to be gone this next season. And then only 1 from 5 other guys. This defense can definitely improve. But thankfully, it is early National Signing Day. We don't have a lot of guys to look at, honestly, but at least we get a chance to see what their dead traits are, as Mokafisi as the gem is going to be a star. That is great to see. Impact from none. Normal from Hager. That is very disappointing. And Ringo is normal as well. And then I forgot about Peppers, who is normal too. That's not great. But since they don't have great development, we're definitely going to have to up our motivator path here. And I really want to get up to level 3 on a lot of these guys, just so we can get that off-season training boost. And honestly, I probably should have focused on the defense on that, but still, we need our offense to be good too. But since we are sitting at home for all of these bowl games, including this national championship of Clemson versus Liberty, we really need to focus on our recruiting in this offseason to be able to improve the team. And congratulations to Clemson for beating Liberty. Big surprise. And thankfully the bowl season ends with another commit with Edward Bourne. And now we get a chance to look at all the players that are leaving, including these that want to transfer out. Not really high overalls, but especially this freshman. It'd be nice to be able to keep him, but that is not going to be the case. How about the right end? Didn't think so either. Maybe the left end? No, absolutely not. We do only have 1 more persuasion. And honestly, I think we're going to have to do that with the sophomore tight end. He might actually have a chance to be a little bit better, and thankfully he does end up staying. But unfortunately, we are losing a lot of other seniors, and the fact that we really are not picking up a lot of guys in the recruiting pool, we might be in a little bit of trouble. This has honestly been probably one of the hardest years of recruiting that I've had. But we do have a lot of hours to be able to convince some of these guys here in the offseason, and it might be a little bit easier. Hopefully. And even though we are locked out on Babers, we're still number 1 on his list. I don't think that he's going to commit, but at least it's worth a shot. And this is definitely something I'm going to have to remember for next season as well, as there are no athletes in the transfer portal. So that means that maybe we go back to the prospect list, or just really focus on the ones that we have right now. So anyone that isn't committed and is at least 3 stars or above, we're going to put them on our list and let's try to recruit them. We just need a bigger class here. It might be a stretch, but hey, we'll give it a shot. Obviously, we didn't have anyone drafted, but we have a couple guys visiting. Let's see if we can get any commits here on this next screen. Freddie Deere, the middle linebacker, ends up committing. That's great, but we do lose Ansah, and he ends up going to Tulsa, unfortunately. That's a little rough as we get into week 2. And this is still really upsetting here, as Babers is probably going to end up going to Clemson. So we're really going to send the house on all of these guys, really, because we have the hours for it. Because we need to really bolster this class right here. As David Agba, the wide receiver, commits. Andres Orlando, the quarterback. Ty Storm, the halfback. That's going to be it. But hey, 3 more recruits. We almost doubled it. The worst part, though, is the fact that none of them are in their top 5, so we can't bring them in for a visit. We need to really hope that we can just sell them on what we have. And there we go. Babers ends up committing to Clemson. That's a heartbreaker. I am going to keep him on the list because I am actually really curious what his development trait was. But again, let's really start to sell these guys that are in their top 5, and let's bring them in for 1 visit. So let's try to close these out as quick as possible. Let's see a lot of commits on this next screen because, damn it, we really need them. Hutu, the middle linebacker, 3 stars commits. That's it. And unfortunately, it is National Signing Day, and we did not get a lot of these guys. Quan ended up going to Arkansas. Babers, of course, ended up going to Clemson, and he was an impact player. That makes me feel a little bit better. Putu and Stock are both normal, unfortunately. Agba is an impact, same with Orlando. Storm, Deer, but Peppers is a normal as well. Born normal. Mokafisi, thankfully, is the only star that we've seen so far. None with the impact, but that's going to be really good still on the line. Normal from Hager, Ringo, and Callaway. Mond ends up going, unfortunately, to Mizzou. He is gone. McMillan is a star as a scrambler. We don't even know what his stats are. Unfortunately, Glenn is a normal. And same with Hewitt. But hey, you know what? We got 16 guys. And the way that they started off, that's a lot better than I expected. Still not great, though, as we only end up getting 67th in top classes. But still, 16 3-stars, we'll definitely take it. That'll improve over what we have right now. But position change every year is going to be a lot of fun because, again, look at this. We have a lot of athletes to place. Not necessarily extremely high overalls, but at least McMillan's going to be great as a quarterback. And unfortunately, I think he's just got to stay quarterback. He's only a 71, but he drops down to 64 at his next best position. Deer is actually going to be a really good free safety or strong safety as a run support, but honestly, I think we might need him a little bit more on the end, so let's put him at left end and hope for the best. And unfortunately, right now, the way that we're constructed, we don't even have a middle linebacker right now. And that is extremely rough. Now, Stock probably going to end up starting as a tight end, and we'll see how he ends up developing. Maybe we can place him in a different position in the following year. Now, Josh Nunn is a speed rusher, and we do need linebackers, but honestly, I'm going to put him at right end. I think he can actually develop extremely well right there. Surprisingly enough, Mokafisi ends up becoming a 72 fullback, but how often are we going to end up using those? I'm going to put him at wide receiver, and maybe he'll develop there. But again, we do need some more defensive players, and Eric Peppers could definitely be that one. I wish he could be a better middle linebacker, but we're going to put him at left outside linebacker. And Hager, who came in as a 61, turns into a 70 speed rusher. We'll take that on the left end. It is actually so nice to be able to see some of these guys come in at a much higher overall than what they were at a different position, especially here on defense that we need. And thankfully, a lot of these guys actually end up being really great for us too on the defense. That's great to see. Cole Glenn is 70 left outside. And honestly, I think that's where a lot of these guys are going to end up going, but we do need a right outside linebacker too, so Ringo can go there and develop. Oh, and finally, someone that we can actually put as a cornerback. We definitely will need those down the line. Those guys might actually be a little few and far between. Now, Craig Callaway doesn't look like he's going to come in really well, but we really need a middle linebacker, so let's put him there. Now, one guy that's not going to be on the defense is Andres Orlando, who's going to be a 70 overall halfback. And we got Putu as a speed rusher, and honestly, I think they develop a lot better on the ends than they do as linebackers. So let's put him there and see if that actually holds up. And just to test it, we'll put Edward Bourne over at right outside linebacker, and let's see between those two who does a little bit better. Now, Agba actually becomes a pretty decent middle linebacker too, so let's put him there. Now, we do need a little bit of help on the line. I think right guard and left guard, and maybe center are probably the most important ones. And I think I'm actually going to put him at right guard. Now, I had him at left guard originally, but looking at our left guard, we do need a backup, but we need someone who's over a 65 overall to be there in the right guard. Now, Rami here is going to be able to go to center. He's going to be a 65 overall, and he's going to end up starting, and hopefully he'll actually develop here in the offseason too. And surprisingly enough, Profit is a 60 right guard, but ends up going up to 73 as a left guard? Okay. In fact, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to put Profit at center because he ends up becoming a 71, and then Rami here is going to end up going to left guard just so he can be the backup. Now everyone else is going to stay put, and we're going to see what ends up happening here as we get into the training results. Let's see if we can get a big upgrade. So moment of truth, do we go up to over 75? We go up to over 80. We are an 81 overall right now. Fancher goes up to an 81. Weissman actually goes up to a 73. That'll probably end up being our starter down the line potentially. Campbell's an 82, but Sands right on his tail at an 80. Our receivers look pretty good as well. A couple in the 80s. Unfortunately, Coons did not end up progressing as much as I was hoping, but still, a lot of other good guys that are there. A couple great tight ends. Our offensive line actually looked like it improved a lot, with the exception of the right guard position, but at least they're all in the 70s. Our defense is looking pretty decent. I know you don't see any middle linebackers there, but those are going to be the freshmen to start. Got an 80 in the secondary on both corner as well as free safety. And our strong safety, who's only a sophomore, that is 79. So This team doesn't look incredible, but still, not too bad. An 81 overall. We have a chance to make a bowl game this season. And this might be one of those dynasties where we don't end up having to encourage anyone to transfer, because we're only at a 71 right now out of 85. I mean, what we can't do is actually get Kruger here to end up transferring as well, because I don't think he's going to see the field, and I think that might upgrade our offense just a little bit. And surprisingly enough, it does. We go up to an 84. I actually have a lot of faith in this team, but apparently the game does not, as they have us ranked here down at the bottom of the American Conference. Hopefully we can climb up closer to Tulane and Navy. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think this is a team that's necessarily going to win the conference, but again, we should be bowl eligible this year. I'm really just hoping that we end up hitting 500. Now, if we're able to land any of these guys here who are 5 stars, that might allow us to be in the running for the conference sometime soon. But based on our luck last season, I don't necessarily know how well that's going to end up going. All we can do is really just kind of learn from our mistakes from last season and just try to be a little bit better. And Justice Paul might not be a gem, but man, those are some really good stats right off the bat. But even better, how about Velasquez, that is a gem and has even better stats? Now, if we can land one of those guys, I would be extremely happy. We got to keep both of them on the board because the chance of us landing one or both of them might be a little slim. If not, we have a pretty nice backup here in Treggs, who is a 4-star gem, again, with really good stats. And again, if we do end up landing all 3 of them, which again is going to be very doubtful, we can always move them around positions. Maybe one of them would be a really good halfback. But the lack of hours that we have is really killing us, because we're not going to be able to scout everyone. And again, it's going to be tough to really scout everyone else and be able to put some hours on them in the coming weeks. But thankfully, we will have enough hours to get a really good head start, especially on the ones that we really want to try to land. But sometimes that doesn't matter, as we end up getting locked out on one of these 5 stars as well as 2 4 stars. But we have a really tough test here to start the season, as we're on the road against number 14, Maryland. I don't know how this is going to go. And hold the phone here. Did we honestly just end up beating a ranked team? I think so, 1-0. So maybe that'll actually give us a chance to be able to land some of these guys if they see that we can actually beat a ranked team on the road. And even though I wish I could hop into this matchup here just to get a little bit of revenge from last season, we're going to sit through this rivalry game against Florida International. Unfortunately, we do lose it, so we're going to have to win that rivalry game at some point in this rebuild. But we do end up having the Offensive Player of the Week for the American, Coombs, with 98 and 2 touchdowns. And thankfully, we're at the point now where we can actually schedule some guys for visits, so let's bring them in. First available in week 7. Hey, come on, we've already beat one Big Ten team. Why can't we beat another? Well, I'm guessing that Iowa's defense was just too strong for us, because we know their offense is not confident. And maybe I shouldn't have said anything, as they ended up beating us 31-17. We don't have anyone visiting until week 7, so we're going to have to sit through this game against 3-0 number 1 Clemson. But then again, we already beat a top 25 team this season. But there's a reason why Maryland wasn't ranked as number 1, because Clemson ended up beating us 45-6. And they didn't beat us bad enough because they slipped down to number 2. So maybe this isn't necessarily the season that we're going to end up being bowl eligible. At least not with this type of schedule. But hopefully we can actually put it together for conference play. But thankfully we have a chance to pick up our second win. But we are going to be taking on the 4-1 Roadrunners. They are a lower overall than us, but they're obviously having a good season. So let's go out there and let's pick up our second win. But sometimes I need to remember who we ended up losing to. I mean, of course we're going to end up losing to like Clemson and stuff like that. But come on, we need to get in here and pick up this stop. Oh, we almost get into intercept it. We were just a step too slow, unfortunately. And now they're actually threatening to score here with about a minute left in the half. We need to get in and get a big stop. Get back there. That's going to be out of bounds. And that was actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. He actually had a chance to catch that, but thankfully he knocked it out. Come on, let's get the stop. They're going to have to throw that out. Holding them to a field goal or even potentially a punt here would be just fantastic. We just need to find a way to pick up that stop, get over there and knock that down. So they're going for a 56-yarder right here. Not a guarantee, but still a pretty good shot. And that's going to be pushed to the right and doinks off the right upright. We didn't end up doing anything with it before the end of half, unfortunately. And now we're down by 2, but we got 3.5 minutes to go. We just need to pick up a score here to be able to win. Even just a field goal would be nice, as we end up getting Platt out there and almost get down to the 50. It's not like we need to rush here and get into the end zone. All we have to do is just make sure that we continue to keep the drive going. But in order to do that, you have to make good decisions, and that obviously has been a little problem for us. So we end up just chucking that downfield, and that is not going to be caught. So 3rd and 10, we might be going for it on 4th down, so we just need to get a little bit closer as Coombs gets it. Up to a 4th and 2. Just 2 yards right here just to be able to get the first down. As thankfully, he hangs on to it. Holy shit. And I never said that I make good decisions, so, yeah. You know. Well, let's go. Let's keep it on the ground. What a juke up by Fancher. His stats have not been great this season, but thankfully he does come in the clutch right there. And now all we have to do is just kind of wind some clock down and then be able to kick a field goal at some point. And if they aren't going to spend any timeouts, we may as well wind the clock down just a little bit. Because what's the point? We're down by less than... Oh, no, we're going to end up scoring, though. Let's stay down and inbounds. Now, could we have just taken the points there? Absolutely, but come on. I was hoping that they just weren't going to call any timeouts for the rest of the game. We could always make them take their last timeout right here and not get in the end zone, but that's okay. I'll just leave it up to the defense. The good thing for us is they need more than a field goal. They have to get into the end zone, and they do only have one timeout. And thankfully, no, he stays on his feet and stays in bounds, thankfully. But if they continue to get that many yards, is it really going to matter that much? No, boy. 2nd and 10. Way to knock that down. Thankfully, the quarterback underthrew that one, which allowed us to jump up and be able to swat that down. Oh, they're going for the screen. Someone get over there. Nice tackle, but they can't take him down. That's another first. We cannot give up a score here at the end of the game. Come on. We're better than this. That's a little bit of a hold. Come on. Our guy's struggling there. Come on now. 3rd and 3. Come on, let's get them down to a 4th down. Get back there. There we go. Nice sack. So if we stop them here, we end up picking up the win. 4th and 9. Get to him. Get in there. Come on, someone show some balls. Way to go. We dive and he just steps out of bounds. And you see, we just created a nice little force field right there that he just couldn't run through, which is why he ended up running out of bounds. So we end up winning on that one. We win by 5. Not an overly impressive game, but it's a win. But apparently the win was not impressive enough for O'Grady, who ends up locking us out after visiting. We shouldn't be incredibly surprised, but the fact that we have not signed anyone yet is a little discouraging. But we have a couple guys that are going to be visiting after this game against Army. Let's just hope we can keep this win streak up. And there we go. We do end up landing someone. Frank Russ, the tight end. Also, Robert Triggs, the quarterback, the 4-star gem. That's perfect. I mean, we end up losing, but hey, at least we got a couple guys. But that does come at a cost, as Manuel Gale and Eric Dora end up signing other places, and they were going to be 2 really great defensive pieces. Thankfully, the freeing up of the hours did allow us to bring a couple other guys in on visits. And one of those visits is going to be this week against Tulsa. See if we can go out there and end up beating them like we did in that last one. Thankfully, it started off well, but they are threatening to score at the end of half to be able to tie the game back up. So let's see if we can get in there and pick up the stop. Thankfully, oh, that hit him right in the... Bryce is not writhing in pain on the ground right now. Well, let's go 2nd and 10. You pick up one big stop. A turnover would be even better, but we're not going to get that. But holding it to a field goal and being able to keep the lead would be really huge to end the half. They got an empty back set. Obviously, they're going to be passing. And we get in there and here... Oh, 3 points. Well, I mean, inevitably, it's going to end up in 3 points. Or not, they doink it. I guess that's the benefit of playing in the American. And obviously not like the SEC, am I right? There we go. We get that away pretty quickly. And we get up to the 1st. And we can push this lead to 2 possessions. Oh, that would be really nice. Come on, let's try to put this game away as we get to the outside. Great blocks. Platt gets in for the touchdown, and we got a 2-score lead. But that was certainly short-lived, as they have a chance to score and tie it yet again, with about 2 minutes left to go in the game, as they just run it to the outside and no one's there. And then unfortunately, they ended up scoring again really quickly, and now we have 1:11 left to be able to get down the field as we get that one out. And thankfully, we slip past them, but unfortunately don't get up to the 1st down. Maybe we can actually burn him deep here on maybe one play. Nope. We're just going to throw this one out. What a weird throw. That was just taking forever, though, unfortunately. Come on, we need to pick this up. As we chuck it downfield, can it get there? It cannot. Oh, it bounces off him, though. Now, come on. At this point, all we need is just the 1st down just to keep this going. And we will on the drag over to Hayes. Let's call our timeout. We got 2 of them left, so we need to make sure that we remember that those are in our back pocket as we end up going for the corner route that was not even close to being open. We got to be a little creative here. Come on now. We can do this. As we do, we hit him down deep in the center, and he hangs on to it. Let's go. So I was trying to think of the word middle there for a second, but I just couldn't think of it for some reason. As he ends up having to step on him, and he can't hold on to it. Okay, by the way, guys, did you know that we have 2 timeouts? Did I mention that before? Because I totally forgot about that for a second. But unfortunately, Tulsa scores 21 in the 4th quarter, and we end up going down. Say goodbye to some of those recruits. So maybe that bowl game isn't within reach. So let's see if we can take it to Charlotte here And let's just not go down to 6 losses. And hey, maybe we should just sim more often because we did end up winning that one. Now we're 3-5. Now let's just focus on landing some of these guys. Because especially with Velasquez here, we ended up going down a little bit, and I think Miami's going to take him. But we have a lot of these other guys coming in on visits later in the year, like week 13 as well as week 11. So we need to really focus on those weeks and make sure that we land them. And would you look at that? Week 11 is right now against Temple. Another home game. Let's see if we can go out there and actually redeem ourselves from that last one. I mean, at this point, we're really just playing for bowl eligibility. We can only lose one more game here before the end of the season. And let's go. Let's get around him. Oh, we got a little bit of speed with Fancher. Let's go. Can he get in the end zone? He does. That was a wide-ass run, but damn, he took it anyways. But can he get it done in the air, too? Well, we're about to find out right here as we have a chance to score one more time before half. Can he beat anyone off the line? We probably should have went to X, but what a catch anyways as Henry breaks off a tackle and gets down to the 3-yard line. I had no faith in that, which really does beg the question, why did we throw that then? Doesn't matter. Let's get into the end zone right here. Campbell Jr. gets in, and we got ourselves a lead. But we need to pick up this first down to keep this going. So let's see if we can get him. We do on the in. And he can't hold on to it. And maybe we shouldn't have wasted so much clock because, man, we could really use that time if we allow them to score. That just means we got to play some pretty good defense here. Come on, they got 78 yards to go. We do not want to let them get into field goal range. Come on, let's get back there. No one can. And we end up taking them down for only a gain of 7. I say only as if that's not like a ton of yards, right? They end up going for the short pass, but we knock them out of bounds. Come on, we need to be a little bit smarter here. Oh, as he ends up taking that check down as well. Come on, it shouldn't be that difficult to stop them, am I right? Nope, we do, unfortunately, have a difficult time stopping them. I know they know that they can end up tying with a field goal, but is that really where they want to go with it? And here on 1st and 10 with less than a minute to go, man, they're really threatening here. So come on, we need to pick something up. Someone take him down as he stays in bounds. But that doesn't really mean anything for us right now because, again, they can just end up taking a field goal here as we end up stopping them, but another first. Again, I can deal with overtime. I just can't allow them to get into the end zone right here. Oh no, but no one gets over to them. But at this point, if they are gonna get in the end zone, they need to do it on this play. Oh my gosh, what blocks? But damn, they absolutely lit us up right there. I'm not gonna lie. But come on, this is probably dumb to actually go for the run commit here, but come on, let's get him to get the ball out really quickly. Or let's just pick that up right there. 4th and goal, and they're going to have just barely enough time to be able to get this off. Or they don't. That is a huge lapse by the computer. I would have thought that they would have been able to snap that, but we end up picking up the win in very, very unconvincing fashion. And if you thought some of those wins earlier in the season were kind of fluky, man, look at that one right there as Frank Jones ends up committing a right end. And unfortunately, that's it. And we do lose Velasquez to Miami. And that unfortunately was the last 5-star on the board. And we only signed 1 4-star. So I think if we're going to want to land them in later seasons, we're really going to have to pick up the win totals. So we do only have one more visit week, which is going to be week 13. And we have these 4 guys who are going to be visiting. Really hoping that we can land some of these other guys before then to be able to free up some hours. But this one should not be a very difficult game as we're facing USF. But it is going to be on the road. Come on, we got to win and keep the hopes alive. I'm hoping that's a good sign because Tevin Wing ends up signing the center. And we do pick up the win. We are now 5-5 and we have a chance to potentially make a bowl game if we can beat East Carolina this week when we have a couple guys who are visiting. And right now we've only signed 4 guys. Thankfully, one of them is a 4-star gem. But still, we need some more of these guys to end up signing and be able to actually build out this class a little bit more because right now, we're now looking pretty good. Right now, we're at 109. But if we can get a lot of these guys, obviously, we're going to climb ourselves out of that basement. Come on, they're lower than us in record. They're lower than us in the conference. And they're also lower than us in the top class this season. So let's go out there and let's beat them in one more thing. But apparently, they heard what I said before the game, and they took that to heart because they're beating us 7-0 right now, as we are getting closer to the end zone, and thankfully we do get in for the first score of the game for us. But unfortunately, they would go up by another possession, and here near the end of the 3rd quarter, we're going to try to tie it back up with the jet touch pass. Let's see if Henry can get the speed to the outside, cuts it up a little bit. Nope, that's going nowhere. But this is not going to be impossible by any stretch of the imagination, as thankfully we end up getting that out before we get sacked. So we got one more opportunity here, essentially. Let's get it out there. Nope, that almost gets picked. So let's just take our 3 and let's just make sure that our defense holds it. And unfortunately, that's how it ends. We end up losing to East Carolina. and our chance of bowl eligibility is slowly slipping down the drain. Unfortunately, that means that we're going to have to leave it up to Sim to be able to get us to that point. But thankfully, we did end up getting another commit in Ariza. That actually helps out a little bit. That at least takes a little bit of sting out of the loss, but Quincy Jones ends up committing to Coastal Carolina. That's great. But it is going to be left up to a game against North Texas on the road. Are we going to be bowl eligible, or do we miss out yet again? At the very least, we at least get Brian Everett, who I believe was a 3-star gem. And thankfully, we are bowl eligible. We are 6-6. That makes me feel just a little bit better this season. But before we find out what bowl we're in, Philip Mahinami ends up committing another 3-star middle linebacker. We could use one of those for sure. And we're going to be playing the Liberty Bowl against the Arizona Wildcats, number 22. Thankfully, it is early National Signing Day, so maybe that'll actually cheer me up. Unfortunately, we did end up losing Landman as well as Sharp and Blau, but at least Mahinami ends up being able to go down here along with the other guys, and we can see that he is a normal development. Everett is an impact, same with Ariza. Jones is normal. Treggs is an elite. That is going to be great. That could be the quarterback of our future. Russ is an impact, same with Wing. And we may as well play the game against Arizona. They're definitely going to be a little bit better than us, but not by much. But they are number 22 in the country. Let's go out there and maybe we can just end the season on a high note. Because if we only have like 7 or 8 commits at this point in the season, yeah, we're going to need something to be very happy and excited about. And this is definitely not it. And man, I don't know how they got that many points in just a matter of a minute, but damn it anyway. They found a way. As we'll end up hitting them over there in the corner, and we got it down in midfield. We aren't going down without a fight. Plus, we are still in the first half. Come on, man. This game definitely ain't over. Let's go. Let's go. Hit him on the out. Perfect. Glad we were able to hit him on the sideline right there. That's exactly where we needed it to be, as we're going to hit Coombs. Oh, could you have let him a little bit more? He would have had a definite touchdown if he did, but instead he's only down to the 10. But some points right here would be extremely sweet. Let's get it out there, but nope. No one had him blocked. But we'll get in the end zone right here, I'm telling you. I feel it. I feel it right now. Because we're going to be able to scramble out, get the block. Thank you, Coombs. And we just scramble in for a touchdown. But even though we're not going to win this one because we're still down 2 possessions with a minute and a half to go, I'm still very proud of the way that this team ended up hanging in there throughout this entire game. And we're playing the number 22 team in the nation, and we've been pretty mediocre this season. So the fact that we've been able to kind of keep our heads above water, it's actually really impressive as we just chuck it downfield and can't get it. But at this point, we really don't have much of an option, you know what I mean? Let's see if we can find someone to make a nice catch. As he does, Campbell gets there. He gets away. And he's got the speed to get a touchdown. So maybe we're not quite out of this. But with only 1 timeout, we really need to recover this if we want any shot at making that happen. And no, that goes right into his arms. But they are going to punt it away. Are we actually going to have 1 play here? I think we will. Now, look, we're not going to get a score on it, but at least we kind of held them, and we had a shot there at the end. But unfortunately, that just ain't going to happen, and we're not even going to be able to get that out in time. So we do end up losing, but we keep it really competitive with the number 22 team in the country, and we're only going to get better next season. So maybe we don't end the season 500, but we do get another commit in Deshaun Pollard. And if you can believe it, Tulane took down Georgia in the national championship game 21-20. Cinderella story. And the fact that a team in our conference ended up winning the national championship might actually bode pretty well for us. But it does look like we only have 3 guys that want to potentially leave due to transferring. But hopefully we can keep them. Especially this junior tight end who is an 80 overall, who does end up deciding to stay. How about you, cool man? That's cool, man. And let's go with Terrell here. And we end up getting all 3 of them to stay. That's great. Everyone else is leaving to graduation, including Fancher and a potential draft pick in Dunham. And he does in the 5th round as well. I think that's the first one in this rebuild. And it definitely is, because we did not have anyone getting drafted in that first season. But let's see, do we have anyone in the transfer portal? That is an athlete that has not locked us out. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And I'm guessing that there are no athletes in the transfer portal the same way that I don't think that there are any gems. So I guess we can get a couple other guys just from the prospect list and maybe throw them up on the board as well. But it looks like a lot of them are really just scramblers or 1-star or 2-star. So I'm really hoping that some of these guys are going to be pretty versatile, because if not, then we're really just kind of wasting their time. Thankfully, the offseason actually produced a couple of guys who ended up committing, like Lear here, as well as Filior, Esteban Obi, and unfortunately, that's it. Jasper, Hopper, and Daly all commit elsewhere. So once we take these guys off our list, Daly, who ended up going to Boise State, Ebron, who went to East Carolina, and then, of course, Hopper that went to FSU, and Jasper that went to UCLA. But now that we got all of them off our board, let's check and see what everyone's final dev traits are. As Pollard is just a normal, unfortunately, but Bawanko is an impact with normal for Lloyd, and OB impact for Sweat. Lear is an impact and a normal for Filior. Thankfully, Wing is an impact, and obviously we've seen all the rest of everyone else too. I guess that just means that we're really gonna have to change up our strategy for recruiting going forward. But now at least we can get into position changes and actually see how our training results go. The good thing about not signing a ton of guys, though, is the fact that we're not gonna have a lot of guys that are gonna have to be placed elsewhere. So Tevin Wing here, even though I think he'd be really great on the defensive line, I feel like we're going to need more offensive linemen, so let's put him at right guard for now. Brian Everett is a really good linebacker as well as an end, so I think we're actually going to put him at right end, see how well he develops there. Now Lloyd, on the other hand, even though he is a 66 at the linebacking positions and also at the safety positions, we need defensive tackle, so we're going to put him there. I think we're actually going to take Frank Russ and put him at middle linebacker. That's one that we've been missing a lot lately. We ended up having to put a freshman there last season, so let's get a little competition there. Frank Jones is a 72 right end, so let's put him there as a power rusher. Now Treggs is the one who ended up coming in as the 4-star gem, so we're going to put him at quarterback. Starts out at a 75. That isn't bad, especially in a season where we ended up losing our starting quarterback in the last couple of seasons. Now Santiago Ariza here is a power rusher and is really big on the ends. So I think we're actually going to put him at right end. But we are going to have to get a couple of these guys at D tackle. But I don't think that Obi's going to be the one for it. I think we might actually put him at left outside linebacker. Now Pollard doesn't have a ton of options here, unfortunately. He would be a 65 quarterback and a 65 receiver and a 64 halfback. We might actually put him at tight end, but honestly, let's put him at halfback and maybe he'll actually thrive there. Now, Filior, on the other hand, could actually be a really good vertical threat tight end, so let's put him there. Now, Lear is a power rusher and is 68 on the ends, but again, we need defensive tackle, so let's put him there. And even though Mahinami here is actually a really great end and linebacker, we need some guys at strong safety, and I think he could be really good in zone and actually as a run stopper too, probably. And now we just got two left. Now, Garrison Sweat really is just a good quarterback and a fullback. So let's put him at quarterback. He'll end up kind of being a backup, and we'll see if he develops at all. And then Bawanko, of course, is going to be on the defense, and we're going to put him at D tackle. He goes up to a 69. And man, do we have a really young quarterback room. Treggs actually is the #1 quarterback right now, but we'll see how Weissman and McMillan do in the offseason for offseason training. Now, Pariason is actually one of our ends, but honestly, he stays at 72 going to D tackle. We already have a couple guys at the end position that I think could actually take his spot, and they're freshmen too. But we are going to need a lot of luck in the training results to actually see a big jump in the team, because right now, our defense does not look extremely stellar, but they are pretty young, so they will end up growing over time. But as we head into this third season, we are going to be an 84 overall. Now, it does look like McMillan and Weissman did not go up too much, 76, 75. The freshman quarterback that we have right now is actually a 75 starting out, so we might actually start him. Now, our halfback does go up to an 88, and Orlando, our freshman redshirt, is an 83 as well. He's going to be good as time goes on. We have a 98 receiver in Hayes. That is great to see. We also have other tight ends that are between 82 and 83. Our offensive line has improved a little bit, except for at the right guard position. Our ends are going to be in the 80s, with the exception of DeWitt, who's a 79. Pariason's only a 76 still at D tackle. Our linebackers are still only in the upper 70s to mid 70s, but at least our corners are an 85, a free safety 75, and strong safety 85. So despite the fact that our defense says it's an 84 up there, that might be a little generous. And unfortunately, staying around like an 84 means that we're not really going to have a big jump in terms of record or being able to compete for the conference, but we really need to get there soon. We only have a couple of years left. Doesn't look like we're going to encourage anyone to transfer. We're at 69 guys. I don't really care about our rating right now. I just want to make sure that we can win some games this next season. And just quickly, I know I said last season I wanted to see between Bourne and Putu, who ended up going up a little more overall during the offseason training, just because they were both speed rushers. One went to linebacker, one went to end. Bourne went to a 71, which is, I believe, close to where he was before. And Putu is an 83. So yeah, I think if you really want these guys to improve, especially speed rushers, put them on one of the ends. But regardless of where they're at, all these guys are going to improve. And honestly, I think that in a couple years when these guys start to be seniors, I think that they're going to be extremely good with all the development that we're going to be able to get over the next couple seasons. But for now, we're going to have to look at all the athletes and see who we can put on the board. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be another year without any 5-stars because unfortunately, we're locked out of the only 3 that are athletes. But thankfully, there are a handful of 4-stars, including one that has us number 2 on the list as well. And someone who's a physical could be great as a receiver, or even potentially a defender. But unfortunately, throughout that list, we're only able to put 9 4-stars on the board. Everyone else is a 3-star, but hopefully that'll mean that we'll have an easier time signing them. And we're definitely going to be prioritizing the gems, just like Frederick Parker here, who is a receiving back. And thankfully, the one guy that was really interested in us is actually a gem too, so we're going to definitely prioritize him too. I know we don't have a ton of guys on the board, but again, we have very limited hours, so I want to make sure that we really focus on who we have on the board. And as we progress through the season, we end up getting a lot more hours, we can always add a couple new guys to the board. But with only 450 hours, I know I said it last season, but this season I think we really need to look at getting different coordinators that might have better recruiting capabilities. Although I think I am a couple of years too late on that now. This is going to be a really fun game to start the season. At Texas Tech, number 19 in the nation, they are 1-0. And I don't think that anyone can really be that surprised that we ended up dropping that one. But thankfully, we can pick up our first win of the season here against FIU. We need to beat them one of these times, honestly. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to hop into it, so we're just going to have to leave it up to Sim. And unsurprisingly enough, we end up dropping to 0-2. And unfortunately, that is going to be a deal breaker for a couple of these guys, including a lot of the 4-stars. I am going to keep them all on the board because you never know what could happen. We can always up our grade in whatever that deal breaker is, and they can open it back up. But this should be our first win of the season against FCS East. Yeah, I was going to say, we're an 84 overall. No way that we're going to be dropped by an FCS team. But we are going to have to beat better teams if we want to be able to land some of these guys because, again, a lot of deal breakers out there, and ones that if we don't start winning, will continue to just be deal breakers. And thankfully, a big win right there is really huge for us because thankfully these guys opened it back up, and so now we can actually go after these guys again. But thankfully, our first chance to hop into a game this season, it's going to be against 3-0 Navy. Another conference matchup, so let's go out there and let's take care of them. And thankfully, we have the lead in the third quarter, so we actually have a really good chance right here. We just need to be really smart with the ball. We end up taking our check down to Henry, but we have it 4th and inches. But we're not in field goal range just yet, so we're going to go for it. Why not? We just need inches. It's not going to take that much, and thankfully we hit Coleman for the first. So let's continue to march the ball downfield and keep control of this ball right here. So let's run it up the middle. Got a nice little burst of speed, but got taken down right away. So big plays really aren't the name of the game right now. It's really just making sure that we stay in bounds and we control the clock and keep the ball. So I forget how fast that plat is, but let's see if we can actually get to the outside on this one. They got 9 guys in the middle there, so if we can get to the outside, that'd be better. But unfortunately, we cut it up a little too soon. We are still knocking on the door, but we need to get into the end zone if we want to be able to get a first down. And by that, I mean that the first down is basically between the 1-yard line and the goal line. So getting a first down and a touchdown would essentially be the same thing. But let's go. We need to do that here on 3rd down. Can we get someone wide open? We can! Thankfully, he dives for it and catches it. I hope they don't review that. Thankfully, they don't, and we end up going up by 2 possessions. But they're putting a little drive together here, but they have a 4th and 7, and we need to make sure we get in there. You gotta be kidding me. Horrible defense, and they end up getting within 1 again. And unfortunately, we're going to have to do it again, just better this time, where they don't get in the end zone to be able to hold on to this game. Because for now, we unfortunately are not going to be able to stop them. Picking up 9 yards is definitely not ideal for us. So 2nd and inches. They got 3 minutes left, huh? As they just run right up the middle, and unfortunately, they pick up a couple. So let's sack up right here, and let's send a nice little blitz. Let's see if we can stop him. Get in there. Nope, and that's going to leave someone wide open. And unfortunately holds on to that one past midfield. At the very least, I want to make sure that we have some time to respond here if we have to. Or we can just get the pick. Damn it. He went up to grab it, but swatted it instead. So 2nd and 10. They're going to go with the check down. Let's go. 3rd and 10 now. He was going for that short crosser, but just couldn't connect. And now they're going to have 2 downs to basically get in there and stop, but let's go. We end up sacking him 4th and 22. All right. Now the main thing is don't let anyone get behind you. Let's go. 4th and 22. Get in there. Let's pick this up. Get him out. There we go. That ends up getting swatted down, and we're going to be able to have a... What? How did he catch that? I thought that we had 3 guys there. I thought he knocked that down. Instead, they're going to wind this down to the 2-minute warning, or at least one more play. But no, we won't. Johnson picks that up, and thankfully, we end up making up for that huge blunder. That was absolutely ridiculous. So we should be running the ball here, but instead, we're going to have him test the corners here, as that is a big mistake. But we end up grabbing it anyways. Let's go, Hayes. Honestly, go down. We want to make sure that we waste all their timeouts. I don't want to give them the ball back. Besides, a field goal is going to make it a 2-possession game. And in that case, the game is essentially over then. We just need to make sure that we just waste as much time as possible. And by free play, I just mean that, we're going to be able to let the clock run as we end up running this one as we go for the draw. And thankfully, we almost get the first down. If it wasn't a 1-possession game, I would definitely go for it, but we got to take as many points as possible here. And thankfully, it ends up working out, even though they ended up scoring once at the end of the game. Hopefully, that's going to be a good omen for the rest of the season. Hopefully, we can get someone to commit as McMillan, freshman, ends up having a really good game there. And I'll be honest with you, I actually enjoyed throwing with him more than I enjoyed throwing with our last quarterback. So that's really awesome to know that we're going to have him for a couple more years. Now, unfortunately, due to our limited hours in recruiting, we're not going to have a lot of guys that we're going to be able to bring in just because we lack the hours to be able to do so. So Parker here is going to be the only one that's going to be visiting this week. We're going to have to really load the last 2 games that we have. But let's just go out there and beat Tulsa. I mean, again, they're having a pretty good season so far, but we are better than them on paper. So let's go out there and let's see if we can actually make that a reality. But thankfully, we are holding a lead as we get to the end of the half. Let's see if we can keep this drive going, though. That's going to be the main thing. Thankfully, we take the drag. Moore is going to be there, and he ends up getting up to the first. Plus, we have a full minute left, and we have all our timeouts. So I feel very confident about this as we get it up to Cool Man. And that was pretty cool, man. Part of me doesn't even want to get in the end zone yet, but still, I'm not going to say no to a touchdown, am I right? Let's see if we can go up 14-0 on this jet touch pass. We'll get it out to the end. Oh, yeah, we got plenty of speed. 3.5 left. They have a 4th and 8 to be able to get a first down, but they're down by 4 possessions. But hey, he ends up dropping it this time. Thankfully, that wasn't a repeat of the game before, and now they've scored with 1.5 left, but they need a lot of onside kicks if they really want to win this one. And thankfully, that recovery sealed it. We ended up winning 28-7. Pretty convincing fashion, a lot better than the game before. Either this team is really starting to put it together, or Tulsa was just a little overrated in this game. Either way, though, we end up picking up the win. We go to 4-2. We'll advance the week, and then we're going to take a look at the stats just to see how everyone's doing so far. But first, we do get the 4-star Alex Hearns, who was a gem. That was one that we really wanted. And another one, Jamie Kuma. Unfortunately, George Joy did end up committing to South Carolina, but still, we got 2 other really good receivers that we're going to be able to have on this team next year. And having a quarterback like McMillan is actually going to be good for those new receivers that are coming in, man, because honestly, even though we kind of started a little slow, he's got 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. So thankfully, he makes some pretty good decisions. Sands is actually killing it right now, 450 yards with 2 touchdowns himself. McMillan has a couple scrambles, but not too much from him. Coolman, Platt, as well as Hayes are our 3 main receivers here between 250 and 350, and have 10 of the 11 touchdowns that we have this season, which is really great. Unfortunately, we are going to be losing all 3 of them in the offseason, so again, really glad that we're going to be having some new guys that are going to be coming in. And in terms of pressure, not too bad. None 5 TFLs, Storm 3, and these guys are freshmen. Plus, we have a handful of sacks as well, and a couple of interceptions. Johnson with 3 so far. We're going to have him for a couple more years. So this defense is actually going to be really great in the coming years, at least if things continue to go the way that they're going. Let's send through Charlotte, though. Let's see if we can end up winning another one in a row. And would you look at that? Not only do we go to 5-2, but we're 4-0 in conference right now. And if we actually look at the conference standings, looks like we are top along with Tulane, who's 8-0 this season. I guess they did just come off a championship, didn't they? And right behind all of us are the Roadrunners here, who we're going to be facing this week on the road. Unfortunately, we do have to sim through this, but at least we get to play next week's game. We just hope that we're actually going to have 6 wins when we get to it. I knew that was going to be wishful thinking, but hey, I've seen stranger things happen. Thankfully, Platt ends up winning Offensive Player of the Week with 141 with 2 touchdowns, though. At least that's one bright spot. But unfortunately, we do lose Jabari Avant to Boise State, but he's a scrambler, and I feel like we have a really great quarterback right now. So unless he was going to move somewhere else, I'm actually kind of okay with that. But with all of our visits scheduled, we are going to be playing this one as well as week 12. But Memphis, thankfully, only has 1 win on the season right now. So let's go out there and make sure they don't have 2. Plus, if we end up winning this game, we become bowl eligible again. Needless to say, it's definitely something that we would love to see. And thankfully, we're going to get Platt, who ends up hanging on to it to the 26. And now we can really just start to take our time here because it's not like we're in any rush. Why not? Let's get it out into the flat. Stay in bounds. Flat. No. We needed the clock to keep going, and plus he could have gotten a lot of extra yards on that one. So let's go for the screen instead. Get it out to him. Get some good blocks. We'll get up for the first down. Hangs in there and gets down to about the 10. And as it continues to wind down, again, I think we have a really good shot at getting into the end zone as we get a nice reception over to Sands again. And the more time that ticks off, the less time they'll have to respond before the end of half, as we'll end up getting stopped there, which I'm actually okay with. But still, 3rd and 6 is not necessarily where we want to be, so let's go. Let's get into the end zone somehow. Nope, we're going to get taken down. And maybe we should have just taken our points when we had the opportunity. Instead, we're going to have to kick this from a pretty far distance compared to where we were, and thankfully we'll get 3 more and we're going to be up 10. And did I say 10? I meant 6, as we unfortunately have not gotten in the end zone yet today, and thankfully we're going to be able to scramble for this one. Let's go McMillan down the sideline, and that's why it's really nice to have a versatile quarterback. Now if only we can actually get into the end zone. Let's go. Give me some speed, some good blocks. Way to cut up, but still only 3. And I know exactly where we're going with this one right now. So let's get it out to him. I probably should have looked at other guys, but still, 3rd and 2. At least we're closer to the first down marker, and I'm actually going to run it on this one. Why not? I have confidence in our line and our running back to barely get the first. And at least we're taking some more time off the clock, thankfully. And if we can get outside here, we'll be able to cut up, but down at the 2. So let's see if we can fool him with the goal line package right here, as we'll get the tight end. Let's go. He ends up getting in the end zone. We got a touchdown, thankfully. But needless to say, we do kind of have him pinned back here, because 4th and 10, they're going for it with 3.5 left. Let's see if we can stop them and continue this domination. And surprisingly enough, we would get in the end zone one more time, but they never did. 26-0 shows why they're 1-7 this season. And thankfully, that win was enough to be able to get Colin Martino to sign with the team. And unfortunately, we ended up losing 2 more, though. And even though we've only signed a couple guys, I'm still pretty confident that we're going to be able to get everyone else, or at least the majority of them. Now, we are actually number 2 in the conference right now, just behind Tulane. The Roadrunners ended up losing a game, so thankfully, we are up there at number 2. But we are facing UAB, who is 7-2. If we don't win this one, I think we drop down. But hopefully it's a good sign that Jose Holiday ends up committing, and it is not. We are 6-4, 5-2 in conference. And I think now at this point, I don't think we're going to be able to end up getting into the conference championship game unless the Roadrunners end up losing 1 more. The good news, though, is, again, we are bowl eligible, and now we have a chance to hop into this game, be able to take down UConn, and get way above 6 wins. Yes, I do know that 7 is not way above 6, but still, at the same time, you know what I mean. We're going to have a really good amount, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to convert this 3rd. So I guess that just means that we're going to have to go for it on 4th, huh? Isn't that what you think? There we go. That's going to be a first down, baby. And now we just got to do it one more time now. I got faith at least. Unfortunately, he just throws it out of range. And unfortunately, that would lead to them tying it up. So 3rd and 3, we just need to pick up the first. That's a simple one. They just gave that short one. And when they allow us to just take the first down like that, dude, again, I'm going to take that every single time. Thankfully, we're able to get another one, too, out to Sullivan. That's going to be another first. And now we are simmed up to a 4th and 1, where we should be going for the field goal and for the lead, but instead, we're just going to take our tight end, and we're going to take the first down. Now, I'll be honest with you, I think that at the end of the season, I'm going to want to change to an air raid offense. But for now, this is still pretty good, as we end up getting a jet touch pass, and we're down to the 3. I just had more success with that playbook, so maybe that'll actually help me out a little bit here. As we get into the end zone, let's go. We got another TD. Now, the worst thing that could happen right here is if someone gets behind our defense. So I need these guys to at least not let anyone get behind their zone. Can we get back there? We can't, but hey, he has to check it down for a 4th and 10. And now this is one where I think that we can really stop them. 4th and 10, they got a lot of yards to make up just to be able to get the first down. So let's get some good pressure. Come on, guys. We're better than that, but way to swat that down. And I think we got this now. They would end up scoring one more time, but we still end up taking the victory 28-21. And now we got 7 on the season. We just need to win our last one. And unfortunately, we are going to have to leave that one up to Sim. But at the very least, we got to win in that one. And we also get a couple commits in Ben Prude. And I'm sorry, there's just one. And the Roadrunners do drop one, but UAB is 5-2 as well, so we're going to have to leapfrog them. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that's extremely likely, but at the very least, even though we are playing on the road in Week 13, our final game of the season, at least we're playing 3-8 Temple. They've only won 1 in conference. Let's see if we can keep it that way. And hopefully, unlike last time, I hope this is a good sign. Eric Alonso ends up signing. And we do end up winning. We end 8-4 on the season. And look at that. We did end up making it to the American Championship game. Let's go. This is going to be great. But unfortunately, we are playing number 10 Tulane, so we need to bring our A game. Let's see if we can win a couple more battles between now and then. I mean, I think we only have like 1 week, but at the same time, it'd be nice to see a couple commits on this next screen. I didn't mean committing to other schools. That just means that we're going to have to put all our hours into these guys and just make sure that even though we haven't had a couple of these guys in for visits, that we're going to find a way to land them. I just wish we could have gotten some of those off-season hours, during the season, because we know we're not going to find anyone in the transfer portal. Now, I know we ended up going 8-4 and made the conference championship, but I am not extremely happy with our offensive coordinator, so we're going to get rid of him, and let's see if we can hire someone, especially if they have like an air raid playbook. That I think would be ideal. So let's get into this game against Tulane. 11-1 this season, ranked number 10. But somehow, on paper, we are almost even. Let's see if we can go out there and stun them. But unfortunately, they are ranked for a reason. We are now down 2 scores before half, and we're going to have to find a way to be able to pick up some points. Maybe with a deep pass? We end up hitting Hayes. I love the accuracy of McMillan. Especially compared to what we had last season. I will take this all day. Now let's keep this going. Let's see if we can pick up some points. Thankfully, Kuhlman actually picks that up, and now we actually have a shot here. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to, unfortunately, be a little weak on that throw, though. But we don't have to do anything insane. We just need to, again, pick up some yards, as thankfully he is not going to hold on to that. Come on. I'm putting up with that. We got to score here. And I am not going to take a field goal. I'm sorry. No, you got to catch that, buddy. Are you kidding? Dude didn't even put his hands up for that, and that was a for sure first down. And now we have to rely on a Hail Mary here. So let's see what we can get. Come on, can we get lucky? Nope, they're going to get an interception. So maybe not what we want to see in our first conference championship game, but it's okay. We can still come back. We can still come back. We are not going to come back. Well, unless our defense continues to score. It's only 2 points, but it's definitely 2 more than what we had before, as unfortunately that is a bad throw. And unfortunately, we're going to go for it again on 4th down. Hasn't happened yet, but thankfully we do get the first on that. Thankfully, we would end up scoring, and now it's within 1. And we got 3 minutes left to go in this game. So let's see if we can... is that going to be roughing the passer? Please tell me. Even better. Pass interference on the defense. You bet we're taking that one. I don't care how we pick up the yards as long as we pick up the yards. You know what I mean? So let's go. Let's hit the drag. Way to go, Platt. 2 yards. Say what you will about 2 yards, but positive yardage is what we need right now. So let's continue to be happy with that, as we're just going to scramble on this one. Get out there. More positive yardage. Might not be everything we wanted, but it is enough to keep the drive going. There we go. Kuhlman. First down. 1 more play before the 2-minute warning. Let's keep the clock going. Let's actually scramble out. Oh, we do have the speed on him. Let's go. We end up picking up a couple yards. I legit thought that he was going to get tackled, but hey, you know what? Good thing that he didn't, as we end up hitting the tight end more. He's got it. Let's get down a little further. And we got a 1st and goal now. The fact that we're even in this game and that we only have 9 points leads me to believe that we did the right thing in getting rid of our offensive coordinator. Let's go with this jet touch pass to the outside. We got the speed. Oh, I don't want to score yet. And thankfully we don't. Please stay in bounds. It's going to be an injury, and that's going to stop the clock. So it looks all but inevitable that we're going to end up just pounding this one in, and we're going to give them over a minute left to be able to respond. Let's go up the middle, and let's just take the score. We needed to anyways. I mean, it's not like a field goal was going to win it for us, and unfortunately, we did not pick up the extra point. And by the extra point, I mean the 2-point conversion, unfortunately. So that means a field goal is going to win it for them. But if we can find a way to stop them, we can! Johnson picks that off, and we might be the American Conference champions. But don't put the cart before the horse yet. We still got to waste 2 of their timeouts, which I believe one of them should have come off because of the injury. But hey, who am I? Who am I, right? Now, if we can run into field goal range, that would be even better. But let's go. A 1st down will do it too. And I think that's going to be the game. We're conference champions. And who would have guessed that we would have went into Tulane and beat them by 1 point to win the conference championship? And it is a beautiful sight to see for the first time in this rebuild. Now, before we end up advancing the week, I do want to end up looking at the stats because I realized I forgot to look at that after the 12th game of the season. But McMillan, not bad. Over 3,000 yards, 32 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions. and he's a freshman. Yeah, we're going to be good for the next couple of years. Sands 868 with 8 touchdowns. Not a bad season. Wish you could have gotten over 1,000. Platt almost makes 1,000. 916. Pullman also has 701, but 996 in terms of touchdowns. Again, we're going to have a lot of big shoes to fill here in this offseason with these wide receivers, and hopefully with a couple of guys that are going to develop. But for now, we really are enjoying the receivers that we have right now. Now, in terms of our defense, though, Marcellin, 8 TFLs with 5.5 sacks. Not too bad. Putu, 7 TFLs himself with 3 sacks. And Nunn, 5 TFLs and 4.5 sacks to really lead the team. Interceptions, Johnson, Agba, Storm, Tooley, Johnson, and Smith, all with multiple interceptions, with Wright with one of his own. So again, if this defense continues to develop the way that it is, we're going to be good in the next season and the one after that. After winning a conference championship, why wouldn't you want to come here? Ryan Straczynski, halfback commits. Peyton Koski, that's awesome. We got 2 more. And then the next week, Tremaine Algier ends up committing. Same with Dennis McMillan. That's awesome. And needless to say, we did not make the playoffs. However, we did make the Military Bowl against the California Golden Bears. Now, before we actually look at everyone's depth traits that we ended up signing, I said I wanted an air raid offense. This guy is a great tactician. Unfortunately, not a lot in the recruiter, but at this point, we only have a couple of years left. Let's actually go all in on that, and let's make sure that we end up having a good team going forward. Now, I know I said I ended up wanting to go with a recruiter just to be able to get more hours, but honestly, at this point, I really think that the tactician is going to be a little bit more important. And here we go. We got Dennis McMillan as a normal. Thankfully, we do have 1 star here. We got Prude, who is going to be a power rusher as well. That's huge. Hearns is an impact. We got a star on Kuma. We also got an impact on Holiday. Martino. That's great to see. And then impact on Straczynski. Unfortunately, a lot of just normal. Wish we could have found someone who was an elite, but at least we got a couple stars. But now we can get into the bowl game. We're not going to play a lot of this, but still, it'd be really nice to be able to get a bowl win here. Plus, we have a really big overall advantage over them. So let's see if we can put it together here and end the season strong. But unfortunately, our overall advantage really didn't help us there. We end up losing 21-0, and that is a horrible way to end the season. But maybe it'll light a fire under all these guys. But still, overall, I think that was a very successful season. 9-5 conference championship, and we're actually able to up the program tradition, even though you can't see it here. Happened last week, and I should have said something about it then, but damn it anyway. Now, we got some good news and we got some bad news. Good news, we got the coach. Bad news, we lost our defensive coordinator. And honestly, out of everyone, I like Jaden Strauss. I know he's only a level 19 compared to the other level 20s, but hell, I think that he could actually be really good. The motivator is really strong, and he's got some in the tactician as well. So let's offer him the job, and let's hope that we have a new defensive coordinator. And thankfully, we did hire him. So let's see how things go in this offseason. And what a national championship game. 58-53. Clemson beats Notre Dame. Absolutely incredible. Now let's end up seeing who's going to be leaving the school and if anyone ended up getting drafted. Thankfully for us, there's only one guy that wants to transfer, and it's a halfback that probably will not see the field. Still try to persuade him, and that's okay. I do not mind losing him. And it doesn't look like anyone here is projected to be in the draft. But at the same time, you never know what can happen. Someone could slip in the 7th round. Yeah, I know. That was wishful thinking, but you never know. Now, as always, there were no athletes in the transfer portal, but that just means that we're going to take a couple more of these guys that are 3 stars that we didn't end up scouting off the bat, and let's put them on our list, and let's see if we can land them. And thankfully we did, because this physical athlete here, Danny Parms, absolutely love it. Got to be from New York, even though that says Florida. He ends up being a gem, and that's someone that we're really going to actually focus on right now. And Kevin Sentio, even though he is a scrambler and will probably be a quarterback, still another gem. And of course, we do still have a couple of the guys that ended up carrying over from the season. So let's end up really going hard on those guys and making sure that we bring them in for visits as soon as possible. I mean, we do have 7 guys left on our board. If we can sign at least 4 of them, I will consider that successful. Bob Meekins, middle linebacker, ends up signing, and we didn't lose anyone. And I can't believe we're taking all of these pretty much to the last week. Looks like IU, we're going to end up losing him to Vanderbilt, but it looks like we're first on everyone else's list, so let's focus on these guys. So if we can sign all of them, that'd be even better, as Danny Parms ends up signing Kevin Sentio, and that's it. Yeah, we did end up losing IU to Vanderbilt. I mean, the good thing is he was only normal development, so it's not like I'm extremely upset about losing him. Meekins is normal, and so is McMillan, but looking at these guys at the bottom, Guidugli? He's a star, and with a last name like that, why wouldn't he be? We got RJ Cash, who's a star as well. Toon is a normal. Same with Tolbert. And then Sentio is a star, and Parms is an impact. The fact that we end up getting 3 stars from guys that we completely forgot about during the season, I think is pretty incredible. But that does mean that we have a lot of guys that we're going to have to place in different positions. And look at Jose Holiday, a run stopper, is just an absolutely incredible linebacker. And pretty good in the secondary as well. But I honestly feel like we're much weaker right outside linebacker than any of the other positions. So we're going to place him there and hope that he can just develop into a monster. Now, Tolbert does come in as a 71 scrambler. So I think we will keep him there. And if for some reason something happens and we need to put him on the defense in coming years, we can end up changing him next season. Now, RJ Cash goes from a 59 up to a 66 as a defensive tackle. Let's put him there. Straczynski goes up to a 66 as a defensive lineman. And as a speed rusher, I think that he can actually develop as a left end. Now, Martino doesn't really go up much. He stays a 64 at corner, but we need a couple corners. Now, Algier actually comes in at a really great overall as well. And again, another speed rusher. We'll put him at right end and just, again, hope that he really develops there. The speed rushers always tend to get that nice little jump up when they're on the ends. Now, Ed Toon, oh man, he comes in as a fullback. I know we don't really use a fullback too much, but honestly, let's do it for the fun of it. We really don't have another one, so we'll just remember him over there. Oh my goodness, now I thought that Hearns was going to come in and be a really great receiver. But that's not even close to the best place that he could be playing. He is an incredible safety, not bad as a linebacker as well, and a tight end. And honestly, I feel like we need some help in the secondary. As much as I'd love for him to be a tight end, let's put him at strong safety. And of course, Danny Parms goes up to a 70 as a cornerback, so let's put him there. Now, Eric Alonso here is actually a pretty good strong safety, so I think we're going to put him there. But we really do need another receiver, and unfortunately, these guys just come in better as guys in the secondary. But honestly, I think we might be able to put Kuma as a tight end. Not a bad vertical threat. And honestly, I am changing my mind. We're actually going to put him at strong safety. And then Hearns, even though he is a 75, I'm actually going to put him as a deep threat wide receiver. The main reason for that is because even though there is a couple overall difference there between him and Kuma, I really feel like we have a pretty good strong safety there for now, and a lot of these other guys are going to develop as well. Plus, we've already put, I think, 2 other guys there, so we're just gonna deal with that. Now, again, we need a couple other linebackers, so even though Meekins is a 71 as a right end and a linebacker and a speed rusher, I think we're going to put him at left outside linebacker and have him develop there. Again, it'll be a really nice test to kind of see, hey, do they really develop more on the line, or is it going to be at the linebacker position? Speaking of which, we got another one right here, and honestly, let's put him at right end. And Mr. Koski over here, I think would be a really great receiver, but again, we do need a tight end. I think 69 isn't too bad, especially when you consider that we do have an 83 and a 76 over there, so in due time, he is going to develop well, and his 91 speed, not too bad. Now we have just a couple more as Kevin Sentio ends up coming in. He was a scrambler, but he's actually a little better as a halfback. So let's put him over there. Again, we're going to be losing Sands next year, and even though Orlando's really good, you never know how they develop. And Guidugli here is actually a pretty good linebacker too, and a good end. So again, I'm going to actually put him at left end and see if he can develop there a little quicker. And last one, we got Ben Prude here. Now again, he is a power rusher this time, and is actually better on the line. So let's put him at right end, and again, hope that he develops there. But one thing that I did notice is that we did not get a lot of offensive linemen, and these guys are aging, and all of them are pretty much seniors. So that's something that we're really going to have to focus on. Maybe we can even get a couple more physical guys, some agile guys, just to be able to put them over there, because I don't think any of these tight ends are really going to move over to the line extremely well. I mean, 65, but compared to an 83. But for now, we're going to leave it there, and let's just see what ends up happening during training. All right, moment of truth here. How much did we increase? A little bit. We're up to an 87. This offense is definitely carrying us. Sands didn't have any improvement whatsoever, but it's nice to see our offensive linemen actually improve a little bit too. McMillan is only at an 81, with Treggs really kind of nipping at his heels. Now, honestly, we might redshirt Treggs just in case. You never know. We do have Sweat in the back, but Treggs could actually be a really good quarterback. Of course, Sands is there in 93, but Orlando goes up to an 88. That is insane. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like our receivers really improved too much. Our tight ends are about the same, but again, our offensive linemen actually go up. Everyone is in the 80s, and that's great. Now, our defensive linemen are great, 88, 86, and even our third string left end is an 84. Our right end's 84, 81, so maybe we should have moved someone over, but still. Ariza is only a sophomore and he's at an 81. Everett's a freshman redshirt at an 80. I think we're going to be set over there. Could get a couple more defensive tackles. That's okay. Our freshman redshirt is an 84 overall. That is incredible. Our linebackers are in the 70s, if not the 80s. And of course, our secondary looks really good. A couple really good and somewhat speedy corners, although we are going to probably have to play zone because they do not have much speed to be able to keep up with the faster receivers. And then, of course, the rest of the secondary actually looks pretty decent too. So, again, I think we have a chance of being able to actually make the conference championship again, but we might be another year away from being able to make the playoffs. But I did say that I really wanted to change the playbook, and I think we're going to end up changing it to the Clemson air raid. That's one that I've used before, one that I've really liked to use, so let's hope that that's going to make the difference this year. Probably not, but it's a nice thought. And unfortunately, with a schedule like this, I don't know who we're going to be impressing to be able to get into the playoffs, but we're going to have to figure something out. I think we'd end up having to go undefeated to be able to make that happen, so we'll end up seeing what happens. Still think that we're like a year or two away from making that happen, but now that we're in season 4, we really need to look to actually win right now. Now, we do have McMillan, of course, as our starting quarterback. He's an 81 overall. But look at those skill caps. Not going to be any more elusive. He'll get a little more power and accuracy and health, but that's really about it. But if we look at our other sophomore, that is not a redshirt, we got Triggs. And looking at his skill caps, doesn't really have many. So honestly, we might have to think about putting him as the starter and just developing him a little bit more. I know it might end up biting us in the ass this season, but I think it might be the right way to go. Again, it's not like we can really redshirt him, because I guess we really only have 3 more seasons, and by that time, he's going to be graduating anyways, so he'll be a senior in the final year we do this, so I think we're going to go with him. Again, that might hold us back a little bit this year, but their stats are so similar to like McMillan that I think that we're going to be fine. Now, it does look like we have a couple of 5-stars that we can go after, and there's even a 4-star here that's really interested as a power back as well, so I think that's going to be really interesting. But it does look like we have a lot of 4-stars, so it's nice that these guys are starting to open up in our 4th season. Now, because I didn't hire a recruiter, we are obviously going to have to, unfortunately, put less guys on our board than we really want to, but we need to make sure that we can get some of these guys. And I know this guy's a 5-star bust, but it'd still be really nice to get him. We just won't prioritize him. Now, the good news is we found back-to-back 4-star gems. We got Purdy, who is a power back, and we also have Hines, who is going to be a possession, which is actually good. Might be able to fit into a couple different positions. And honestly, I really hope this guy is good. He is. I can just call him D-Money now. That's great. I really don't care how stupid that sounds. It makes me extremely happy. Thankfully, we find a potential offensive lineman here because we need a lot more of those. You see how thin we are at those positions. And even though Okiyemi is going to be a bust, again, really great defensive player here. He's got 87 strength, 90 pursuit. He's still going to be pretty good, and we definitely need another power rusher. So thankfully, we ended up finding 7 gems here. Couple busts that we're going to keep on the board, but these are the guys we're going to focus on most. I'm really hoping that with only 21 targets, we're really going to be able to hone in on these guys. But with only 500 hours, I really think landing some of these guys are going to be really difficult. So again, we really need to just focus on the guys at the top and the ones that I think we're going to be able to use in a year or two. Because realistically, if we're playing 2 more seasons after we get them, they're not going to be able to develop to the best of their ability. So again, we need to look at guys that are going to be able to make an impact early and often. And even though we've made it onto a couple of these guys' boards, we really need to find a way to sell them a little bit more. So like guys like Walters are going to be able to get the extra DM as well as the social media fine. Because again, these are guys that we really want to get, and we want to land them pretty early too. And thankfully, a win against FCS Southeast not only produces a win for us, but also a defensive player of the week. Putu ends up coming in with 2 sacks in a TFL. And thankfully, it was a very convincing one, too, as we ended up winning 38-3, which is great to see. Thankfully, Triggs came in and was just great right off the bat. 305 and 4 touchdowns. That's incredible. Poindexter, what a great last name. 106 and 2 touchdowns. But the question is, how are they going to do against FBS teams? We'll find out this week, as we thankfully end up beating USF. That's great. We start off 2-0 and 1-0 in conference. As Mocha Fisi, 140 and 2 touchdowns, I think we found the right playbook. Because if we're scoring 38 every time and Triggs ends up having another 4 touchdowns with over 300 yards, yeah, I think I have a lot more confidence in this team than I did at the beginning of the season. And thankfully, with a couple guys in their top 5, we're going to be able to actually schedule 1 visit because we end up going with some hard sells. And I think we're going to have to go with the defensive player, Ramon Walters, and we're going to schedule him for probably that first game against Wisconsin. Why not go in week 6 and sell that playing time? So it's good to know we're only a couple weeks away from being able to hop into a game, but we're going to have to trust him against FIU on the road. And thankfully that is going to be another victory. That's great to start off 3-0. And since Wisconsin is going to be more of a defensive focus, we're also going to schedule for week 8, but for the offensive players. But that means that we're going to have to load up week 6 next week to get a couple more defensive players in there. But let's send through Army. They're 0-2 this season. We should have an easy win right here. And not only is it an easy win for us, but we end up going to number 22 in the nation. But since there isn't another defensive player that is in their top 5, what I'm actually going to do is take Curtis Hines here, and we're going to schedule him for this visit too. I'm upset that it's not going to be a busier visit, but still, we're going to be okay. I'm hoping that we can end up winning that one, but we need to take down Missouri first. And we do. We go up to number 19. But with a couple guys visiting this week, we get a chance to hop into this game, but against 4-1 Wisconsin, who is 3-0 in the Big Ten. They're an 89 overall, so they're going to be better than us on paper, and they're number 25 in the nation. So hopefully this one's going to be a televised one. You got 2 top 25 teams going at it. Let's see if we can take them. And unfortunately, you can tell the difference between the American and the Big Ten as we're down by 10 with 1:14 left in the half. Let's see if we can actually pick something up here. Thankfully, can he get it there? Let's go! Gets it to Smith. He gets downfield. They're going to catch him, but not before he gets into the end zone, and we cut it down to a 3-point. But things have not been getting better. We're down by 2 scores, and it is 3rd and 4, unfortunately. But thankfully, we can break out. We had him wide open, but we'll still end up getting the first down. I'm so worried about throwing a pick in the end zone. And, we're not going to... Oh, we do end up getting it out. Let's go. And we get into the end zone for the touchdown. Let's go. We're cutting it down to 1. And I thought I saw an issue out there. Treggs ends up having a torn labrum, and I don't know how long he's going to be out. So that means that we're leaving it up to McMillan to be able to lead us down the field, to be able to tie the game and potentially bring it into overtime. Oh, no. Does he have the speed? He does. Let's just throw it out. We are not going to pick up any yards on that. I had absolutely no faith in him whatsoever. I don't think you guys can blame me, and unfortunately we take another sack. So someone's going to have to get open here. Only 1 safety deep, which is really good for us. Let's see if we can hit him. Come on! Oh, he gets in front of it, and it's 4th and 18. Now we're really going to need a miracle if we want to be able to win this game. As let's see if we can get... Oh, we almost came back for it, but that is going to be incomplete. And unfortunately, the injury to our quarterback leads us to end up losing to Wisconsin 20-13, our first loss of the season. And unfortunately, that means that Treggs is going to be out for 5 weeks. We'll get him back at the end of the season. Hopefully, we're still in a good spot. And that sucks, too, because he was having a really good season. 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, to only 4 interceptions. Sands only has 250 and 2 touchdowns. We might need to give him the ball a little bit more. But Mokafisi, Smith, and Poindexter are lead receivers. 3 touchdowns. The first 2 and 5 for Poindexter. I think we might need to get him worked in a little bit more again. But defensively, we need to pick it up a little bit. Not a ton of TFLs, and 4.5, 4, and 3.5 sacks for our 3 top defenders. We only have 5 interceptions as well. We need to figure something out. And unfortunately, that means that Purdy is going to commit to Florida. And unfortunately, we got locked out of Heggie, too. And that's rough, too, because he was one of the only potential offensive linemen. Now we have to really focus on these 2 4-stars. But surprisingly enough, we actually get our first commit in Curtis Hines, a nice 4-star tight end. But man, did we lose a lot of other guys. No. I will say, too, I'm really glad that that loss to Wisconsin did not drop us out of the top 25. But now we really need to focus on North Texas. But not before we have to take some of these guys off the board, too. These were guys that I thought were going to be really great. We lost D-Money, unfortunately, and we also lost Bunting. But still, we have a handful of guys, and now we can spread those 250 hours a little bit more. But that means that we really need to impress these guys that are going to be here this week against North Texas, who's an 84 overall, so they're underplaying their overall right now, but let's see if we can go out there and hand them their 5th loss. But man, without Treggs out there, it looks like we're struggling 3-0 right now. Thankfully, we got an open slant. That's going to be Smith, who takes it downfield all the way to the 5-yard line. But maybe if we run to the outside, we'll pick it up. And thankfully, we do. We get into the end zone, and we end up getting the lead. And if you can believe it, they ended up scoring again, and we're only up by 2 points. So let's go. We need to hold on to this lead. We need to get another first down, and we just need to run the clock. Even if it wouldn't be a pretty win, I do not mind getting out of this one 14-12, but we need to make sure that we hold on to the ball and continue to get first downs. Now, will the committee look down upon that? Yeah, Maybe they will, but I'm still pretty happy with it myself. And even though it wasn't a pretty win, it's still a win. So we'll take that. Hopefully we get some commits out of this. And hopefully we can continue to be only a one-loss team this season. As wow, Orlando is the player of the game with 2 touchdowns on 6 rushes and 19 yards. Wow. And thankfully we do get Taylor Duggan, but unfortunately that's the only one and we lose 2 other guys. The good news though is we do have back-to-back visits, and now we're going to get a chance to end up facing Rice at home. 80 overall. Look, we came close against Wisconsin. We ended up being North Texas. No reason why we should have a problem with Rice. Again, not pretty and not a lot of points. You can definitely tell that our offense is struggling a little bit when we don't have Treggs out there. But still, McMillan did enough to be able to pick up the win. And thankfully, we are 7-1. I think we're going to climb up the board a little bit more. And that was enough to get Frederick Blade to end up committing. That's great to see, but 1 at a time is not great. And as it sits right now, it's us and Memphis undefeated in conference 4-0 with East Carolina, Navy, and UAB, who only have 1 loss. But we're not going to be able to hop into a game until week 13, so we got a couple weeks of simming. Let's hope that they're good to us. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and we end up picking up our first conference loss and we drop out of the top 25. I think that means that we're going to be out of the running for the playoffs this year. But again, the fact that we're doing this well so far in this year means that I think years 5 and 6 could potentially be successful. And thankfully, there we go. A right end, and Nelly ends up committing. Same with Stephen Payne, another offensive lineman. We definitely need that. And we pick up the win. We go back up to number 21. Maybe if we win our conference, we have a chance of getting in the playoffs. And damn, Mokafisi, 210 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, now I see why we won. But that does mean that we need to beat Navy here. They're 5-4. We should be able to pick this one up. Am I right? That's a good sign as Izudu, the right end, ends up committing. And that's about it. But thankfully we didn't lose anyone and we do win. We're 9-2, number 17 in the nation. And look at us, still at the top of the conference along with Memphis. As long as we win this one, we're in the conference championship. We actually have some other good news too, as a couple guys like Jimmy Williams, the 3-star power rusher, ends up opening back up, and same with Bichetti too. But that's going to mean nothing if we can't beat Charlotte in this last game at home, and thankfully we can hop into this one. Charlotte is an 81 overall. We should be fine here. Let's just go out there and play our best ball. But unfortunately, we haven't had much luck today. We're down by a score, 14-7, as we end up picking them up on the out. Smith gets into the end zone. Thankfully, we end up tying it up. So we're down by 6 points now, pardon me. So let's end up picking up Mokafisi, who can't stay on his feet. I don't mind wasting some time here, although it would be nice to have time if we end up coughing the ball back up, because we do have the 3 timeouts. But realistically, if we don't get that here, we might be a little doomed. But come on. 3rd and 6. There we go. We got it. Nope. Poindexter can't hold on. Come on. Game pretty much on the line right here. We need to pick this up. Sands can't hold on to it. We got the first down. I guess you got to have that trust. Now let's go. Come on. Get this up before the 2-minute. That's perfect. But we can't get it out. That's not what you want to see, especially before we end up getting into about the playoffs, or at least a bowl game. Because again, if we do end up getting into the playoffs somehow, if we can't take down a 6-5 team like this, what are we going to end up doing? Is we end up fumbling that one. Honestly, I can't wait to have Treggs back, but again, we're about a week away from that happening. As we get a good throw, good separation by Poindexter. That's going to be a 3rd manageable now. We got to just continue to take the smart throw. We got a 1.5 left. We're going to be fine. As long as we end up picking up things like that. Poindexter down to the 38. Honestly, he is so good, and I appreciate the hell out of it. So let's go. Oh, he is wide open. Let's go. What a throw. More. Gets it all the way down to the 4-yard line. So is it probably dumb to run for it down here? Yeah, probably. But, hell, we just need to continue to run the clock a little. So let's go to that trusty jet touch pass. I want to run a little more clock, but if we don't get in the end zone, we're basically screwed. But let's go. Oh, we got it. That's what I'm talking about. But unfortunately, we did leave them a little time to be able to come back. Thankfully, that is only 18 seconds, but they do have all 3 timeouts, and all they need is a field goal to end up winning. So let's get them out here and make sure they don't pick up many yards. We're going to have to definitely play deep. We can't let anyone get behind us, and that is a problem that I know this defense has had before, as unfortunately... Oh, he does drop it. I thought he had caught that, but thankfully he didn't. 3rd and 4. Let's get back there. Come on, disrupt it. That's fine. Oh, he goes down. Oh, but they give him the first down. I thought he had stopped his forward progress, but come on. We need to make sure nothing gets behind us. This is going to be their last play. As there it is. Come on. Thankfully, we knock it down, and that is going to be the game, but barely. We escaped 6-5 Charlotte with a 21-20 win. Good for you, Josh Montgomery. You just didn't get it right there, and we end up taking the win. And I think we're going to be going to the conference championship. So 10-2 record, that's actually better than I thought we were going to end up having. Because again, I thought we were going to end up starting our other quarterback as Malik Church, 4-star middle linebacker, commits. And we end up losing Cleveland and Vargas. But at least they're on the offensive side of the ball and nothing that I think we necessarily need. And there it is. We're going to be playing Memphis in the American Championship. And unfortunately, we're actually at risk of losing 3 of these last 5 guys. We might actually have to put a couple on our board in the offseason to see if we can get a couple more. And unfortunately, we do lose 2 of them. Jimmy Williams is going to be gone. He was going to be a good defensive player. And a 4-star gem quarterback. I think we're going to be fine at the position now. But come on, we need to focus on this matchup against Memphis. If we win this one, I think there's a very good chance that we end up in the playoffs. But we need to take down Memphis. They're 8-4, 83 overall. Let's just go out there and play our game. Thankfully, we're going to have the chance to strike first as the beginning of the second quarter, we have it 1st and 10 on the 18-yard line. Let's just make sure that we can end up finding someone, and that's going to be Poindexter for 9. Don't need huge gains, just need to get gains, period, I guess. As we end up scrambling out, I think we got the speed over him. Oh, and we're going to get in the end zone. Let's go, McMillan. I think that Treggs is off the injury report, but still, at the same time, McMillan has only lost, 2 games. So can we really justify taking him out of the starting lineup yet? Honestly, part of me really does, but let's be smart here. Let's end up taking that short to Poindexter. Wow, we didn't get it. Well, excuse me for thinking that we did. Let's go for that jet touch pass. Come on, oh no, we're not even going to pick that up. That was stupid. Because if we would have just taken the 3, we'd be up by 2 scores with 3:45 left. And we would be fine, but now we have to worry. Oh, what? I was going to say, worry about them getting into the end zone. 1st and 10, 3.5 left. At least we're going to end up getting the ball back. Nice tackle. And unfortunately, it's going to be a 3rd and 2. And they're going to go for the short pass, and that is going to result in a 1st and goal. And unfortunately, we're selling out for the run here. That's rough. We want to make sure. Oh, we get the sack. We want to make sure that they don't just walk it in the end zone. Now we have a chance to end up stopping them. We are still sending 6. Don't get me wrong. But come on, we need to get through there. No way he found him. That is not what we want to see from the defense. So our offense needs to pick it up right here. Come on now. Let's get out there, get some good blocks. Poindexter gets through. And yeah, we just need to control the clock. But now is where we really get serious. We just need to get into field goal range. 1st and 10. Let's get some good yardage. Nice pass out to Sands. Whoop! Gets around. Let's go. Gets up to the 38. Now let's just run it. I know coach wants us to throw, but this is not field goal range yet. We need more yards than this if we want to really reliably hit it. So are they going to sniff out the jet touch pass here this time? Probably, unfortunately, but we're definitely about to see. Good block out there. Oh, we get a lane. Poindexter stay in bounds. Now all we have to do is hold on to the ball and keep the clock running. And we get some really good blocks, and we get another 8. At this point, we might be good. We're about to burn their last timeout right here as they sell out for the run. And they actually do stop us. But 1st down or not, we're going to be able to keep the clock running. It'd be nice to be able to get that 1st down, but we'll see, and we do. That's what I'm talking about. And now we are going to be able to line up for the game winner. No pressure for the conference championship. And there we go. Another low-scoring game, I know. But it's a win, it's a conference championship, and it may be a ticket to the playoffs. We'll definitely see in due time, but we win the conference. And yeah, it's a nice little repeat. It's a good feeling. Especially since I didn't know if we were actually going to make it to the conference championship, especially after losing Treggs, but there we go, and we're definitely going to move up to at least 14. Make that exactly 14. But we are about to find out, did we make it to the playoffs or did we get snubbed? And we do make it in, but we are going to be playing Penn State. Yikes, that's going to be a little tough. And thankfully we have early National Signing Day as well, where we get to see that Church is only an impact. And so is this guy as well. I'm going to keep mispronouncing his name. So is Hines. But we do have a star in our elusive back, Taylor Duggan. Blade is an impact on the offensive line. Payne is just normal as a 4-star. And there we go. And Nelly is going to be a power rusher with impact development too. It's a little upsetting that we didn't get another elite, but that's okay. Now all we have to do is go into Penn State, and let's hope we can win this game. And almost through the first quarter, we're down 3-0 right now, but I'm surprised that we're actually staying in this. We got first and goal. Oh, he gets through, but Sands finds a way to get outside of him, and he falls into the end zone. I am surprised he ended up picking that up. What a beefy son of a bitch. And now we're up still and have the ball, 3rd and inches. Can we please pick this up? He ends up getting off his guy, and Mokafisi hangs on to it. So big 3rd down yet again, 3rd and 4. Oh my gosh, they get in. No way, that was fumbled. Oh my gosh. I don't know, would you call that a fumble or a pick? Because I thought he was in the motion, but either way, it's going to be a turnover, and that is going to be 6 for them. And again, we get to see the difference between the Big Ten and the American. So we're down by 3 yet again, but we have a chance to be able to get some points before the end of half. And come on, we can't end like this. Come on, 3rd and 6. Let's see if we can pick this up. Poindexter can't hold on to it. Thankfully, that would only result in 3, but we are down by 6 points now. Let's get this out here as we go for the RPO. And yeah, we should have found a way to toss it. And by that, obviously, I mean throw it. All right, let's see if we can pick up. Let's go. Mokafisi gets out there. He gets a lane, and he's got a touchdown. And we go back up by 1. But is our defense stout enough to be able to stop them? Either way, they are about in field goal range. As we end up picking it off, Storm's got it. Can this be a pick 6? Oh, no, they're going to catch up to him eventually. But is it going to be before the end zone? No, he gets in, baby. That is a pick 6. And now we have the lead by 8. That is beautiful. Now our defense needs to stop them. Can we get another turnover? No, they're just going to take the check down, and we end up stopping them for 6. Come on, 2nd and 4 clock is running. Again, they need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie the game up. I don't know why I thought that was one of our guys. That's a little rough, but that's okay. We still have a chance to stop them here, and we have plenty of time to be able to respond. Come on, 3rd and 6. They have 2 more downs to be able to get in, essentially. So let's take one of them away right here, as he has all the time in the world, and thankfully we end up stopping him. Took a little while, but 4th and 19. So big stop right here. They do have all 3 timeouts, so we're going to have to find a way to end up burning them. But for now, there it is. We swat it down, and we might have this game. Gosh, I am so tempted to throw it just because they're pressing everybody. You know what I mean? But let's go. We're going to go one more time with that same thing. And we go. We got the first down, baby. That's what we needed. And surprisingly enough, we end up taking this game against Penn State, and we advance to the quarterfinals. Can you believe it? Florida Atlantic University taking down a Big Ten team to advance in the playoffs. What year is this? And it feels good to get that first playoff win under our belts. Let's see if we can go in there in the quarterfinals and be able to take down the Wisconsin Badgers again in the Rose Bowl. We have a chance to get a little bit of revenge here. I think we can do it this time. But that is going to require some stellar play, as now we are about even at 86. Let's take them down right now. Game of the week. Let's bring it home. But of course, they would end up striking first. But we're down in the red zone. We have a chance to be able to score here as we get a good block. Poindexter gets to the outside, down to the 7. But time to rely on the fullback, baby. Let's go right up the middle. Power pull him over. Now, that didn't work the way that I thought it would, but that's okay. We got this. He's going to be open in the flat. Let's go. Sands gets up, but only down to the 2. So let's go. Beef on beef. 3rd and goal. Get in the end zone, baby. Get in there. Touchdown. Along with the chance to go up by another touchdown before half. Question is, can we do it? As I don't know who he was even throwing to. I mean, I do because I hit the button, you know what I mean? But still, you know what I mean. Can we get open here? No, we cannot. Surprisingly enough, I'm going to trust Poindexter right here. Oh, nope, that was stupid. And that's going to be picked. That was probably the dumbest play of the game. Well, at least in the game so far. I'm sure I'm going to make plenty more. But 3 minutes ago, it is all tied up. We need to get a big stop here on the defense or a turnover, because we are going to have a hard time if we cannot end up stopping them. Because all they need is a field goal to go up, and I'm sure they're going to take their sweet time. 3 minutes, we all have 3 timeouts. That is great to see, but is that going to be enough for us to be able to pick up a win? They're really running that clock down a little bit, aren't they now? Oh, come on, you got to come back on that. 2:50 to go, come on. Oh, they're going for the quick pass, and that's only 3. But again, it's not like they need much. They really just want to hold on to the ball, so they are fine just taking the short gains. as they go for the fake jet touch pass. Oh my gosh, and they're going to be wide open right there. And at this point, I might actually let them get in. I only say that because it'll allow us some more time to be able to respond to them. But if we can hold them to a field goal, that'd be even better. Let's get through there. Come on, you're there. He ends up throwing it out. And the good thing is that stops the clock, and that's good for us because we wouldn't have to burn a timeout. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see him over there. That's going to be a touchdown. And that means we need a methodical drive here to be able to end up scoring. Oh no. Okay, thankfully, I thought he was going to jump that. If he would have, I would have been extremely upset. Let's go tight end. He ends up grabbing that 3rd and inches. Let's go. We just need to get the first down here. We don't need to think about really big gains, despite the fact that I am trying to throw it over there. I don't know why we didn't just run it there like we're about to here on 4th down, and we end up picking it up. Even though we need a touchdown here, we do not want to allow them some time to be able to end up scoring again. And there we go. We end up getting Sands across the middle. Because, again, if we end up scoring, we only end up tying them. And that is not going to be enough to be able to win this game. As thankfully, we end up getting out, but that's going to be sailed over his head. And honestly, I'm really hoping that training results are really great to Treg because, again, I really want him to be our star quarterback for the rest of the rebuild. As we end up hitting Poindexter down at the 13. Maybe I just need to talk trash about McMillan a little bit more. He ends up showing up in those moments as we end up getting it out. Can you show a little bit of hustle? Tight end is just jogging out there for his route. That is not what we need to be able to end up picking this up. Let's just throw this out. I should never be running that deep. Let's be completely honest. 3rd and 6. Let's pick up the drag because he's going to be wide open. Oh no, and we get in the end zone, but just a little too early. That might end up being the dagger for us as they have 56 seconds to get a field goal. But we need to pick up a big stop on defense. We can do this though. We've done it before. We can do it again. Big sack right there. Putu, an absolute monster, getting in there and getting that sack. Let's go. We do have 3 timeouts, but they're going to be getting close to the first down marker here. So 46 seconds left. We need to pick up a big stop here. Be able to get the ball back as they go play action, and we get the sack. 4th and 14. Let's go. And that actually gives us a shot to be able to win this game. Potentially. Let's get a really good return on this one. As we don't. But come on, biggest drive of the season. Do we get revenge or do we just kind of fizzle out? As let's see if we can hit him deep. Get there. No, that gets swatted. I don't know why we're going for the deep pass. I apologize for that because we can just do it on, well, not throws like that. Well, it's a play I've not used before. Let's see if it ends up working. That would actually be nice as no. We're going to have to punt it. And that is a really rough way to end up ending this drive. So let's go. 9 seconds. We just need to keep them out of field goal range. I can't believe. Oh, they're just going to run it. That's perfect. So we're starting on offense here. I hate that, but that's fine. Let's pick this up right here. As thankfully he gets wide open. Moore hangs on to it. I do not want to settle for a field goal here, but unfortunately that might have to be the case unless we find someone in the end zone. It might be the end of the game. And potentially the end of the season. I was about 2 seconds too late on that one, honestly. So let's go. Come on. They're in the range for a field goal, obviously. We need to find a way to stop them. And if we can just jar the ball loose, oh, man, I would be so happy. But we're not. We end up stopping them, though. So I'm trusting our defense in man-to-man. Let's go. Rush 6. Stop them. Make them go for the field goal, especially on this hash. Someone get over there. And they get in, and we lose in this quarterfinals of the playoffs. Okay, I guess we get an extra chance? I don't get it, but okay. Can he get in the end zone? No. They did end up getting the 2-point conversion, so that's something we're going to have to also get ourselves. Come on, why do you have so much speed? At least we know we're going for it on 4th down, you know what I mean? Oh, let's go. Wide open. Poindexter gets the spin and gets all the way up to the 1. Let's go for the toss and let's really take advantage of this. Let's go. Let's get to the outside. You got the speed, Orlando. We got the touchdown. Now we need the 2-point. And we send the 2-point. Why did they not let us go for it? You got to be kidding me. And we end up losing 29-27 in a game that we should have potentially won there. That's rough. And that is how we lose in the playoffs. But at least we won a playoff game. That's great. Good to know this team's improving. And honestly, I'm really hoping that Treggs is going to be the answer at quarterback in the next year and the year after that if we have to go into that one. But hey, one playoff win in year 4 and getting there and winning a back-to-back conference championships, we'll take that all day. Very happy about that. And we were just short of making it to the semifinals. And hey, at least we lost to a team that might actually win it. It's going to be Wisconsin against Texas. Question is, who's going to take it in sim? Yikes. Texas just stomps Wisconsin. So it looks like we have even bigger fish to fry. Unfortunately, we have one guy that wants to transfer, but we have a chance to actually persuade him to stay. We don't, but that's okay. I think we got other corners that are going to be great. And it does look like we're going to have one guy, potentially 2, that are going to end up being drafted. And we actually have 3. Smith actually sneaks in there as an 88 overall in the 6th round. The other 2 end up going in the 3rd. That honestly should really help out in terms of recruiting. Now again, just making sure no athletes in the transfer portal, obviously. So let's just really focus on the ones that we have on our board. Thankfully, we'll get a couple more recruits as Dubose ends up committing. And same with the 4-star Lowell, too. That's great. And let's go. Let's hope we got them all. Jermaine, Favre. And that's it? Well, maybe not, because we ended up getting all 5 of them. Very strange to me. That's okay. Jackson ends up being a star. That is huge. Impact on Favre and Hasty. Star on Jermaine and impact on McMillan. That is actually incredible to get. And the other 2 guys that signed, Lowell is an elite. We finally got an elite. I know he's at halfback. Maybe we can move him around though. And Dubose is an impact. So we do have a handful of athletes to place, but man, they're coming in pretty high. 74, not bad for Church. And honestly, we need a lot of help at free safety, so we're going to end up moving him there. We have 4 seniors there right now, so it'd be nice to be able to get someone else. Now, Jackson only came in at 60 overall, but dude actually goes up to 67 and 66 on the defensive line. But as you see right here, he might actually be a pretty decent offensive lineman. Maybe not great, but not bad. Let's end up putting him over there at left guard. Now, Jermaine actually comes in at a pretty good overall as well with the 64 and ends up going to a 70 as a right outside linebacker. And Jaden Favre is a 71 linebacker and a 70 on the line, but again, we really need the help at free safety, so let's put him there and hope that we'll have a couple guys that'll develop in the next year or 2. And realistically, a lot of these guys aren't going to start unless we need to go into a 6th season. But for the most part, I feel like these guys might not see the field unless something happens with an injury. Now, Taylor Duggan comes in as 73 as a fullback, but honestly, we need him at wide receiver more than fullback. Now, Hines ends up becoming a 75 and when he turns into a linebacker or someone in the secondary as a safety. But honestly, I think middle linebacker might be the best place for him. And Stephen Payne here could actually be a really great defensive lineman, but again, realistically, we really need someone on the offensive line, so let's put him at left guard. And realistically, 71 really isn't bad. And holy cow, Malik Howell. Oh my gosh, do we put him at tight end or receiver? As much as I'd love to put him at receiver, honestly, we need the help at tight end. I think our highest one is a 76. Wow, Hasty came in at a 72 on the line as well. So I think we're actually going to have to do that. Let's put him at left end. There were many other positions where he was actually going to thrive. Frederick Blade, oh my goodness, man. He looks like he could be a really good guard and actually a pretty good tackle as well. We've already put a couple guys at guard, so let's actually put him at left tackle. And we'll look at all the linemen and be able to kind of move them around a little bit, but I think that's preliminarily where we're going to end up putting him. Now, Cortez Dubose honestly might just go to fullback. If we need to move him around, we can, but for now, I think we're just going to keep him there. And we do run with the fullback a little bit, so honestly, it might be a good place to put him. And unfortunately, Ezeudo doesn't really go many places except for just at linebacker or on the defensive line. Honestly, let's put him at linebacker because we have plenty of defensive linemen. And let's go left athlete. Please tell me he can go on the offensive line. He cannot. But, again, he's going to be a really great defensive player. And I think we're going to put him at D tackle. And honestly, now that I'm looking at it, Lau would be a great tight end, but he's at 74 wide receiver. And as we look over at the wide receiver room, that's actually good enough to potentially be a number 3 or 4. He's actually tied up there with Hearns and Poindexter. We'll just see what ends up happening. Now, this line is really where we need the help because we only have 1 right tackle, 2 right guards, no center, 2 left guards who are freshmen, and 2 left tackles. So what do we do? That's a good question. Mr. Wing over here, I think would actually be a pretty good left guard. He ends up going up to an 80. And then we take Frederick Blade here, who, yes, I know is a 72 left tackle, but he's a 71 center. Not great, but obviously a lot better than what we have. Which also means that Jackson is actually going to move over to left tackle, and let's see if we can develop him there. And at this point, we have so many guys on defense that I think in this offseason, we're really only going to look at offensive players. And also, not just that, but a ton of offensive linemen as well. I know it's not necessarily going to be great for year 6 if we have to get to it, but we need some kind of insurance. But thankfully, we get to see training results. Please tell me we're over a 90. We are not. We're an 89. Not great, but not horrible. Unfortunately, these guys did not really progress much, but I think Treggs is definitely going to be our starting quarterback. Orlando's only an 88. Our fullbacks, not bad. Our wide receivers barely advanced. Same with our tight ends. Our tackle, 90, 84. We'll have to see what the freshman is. 87 and 85. Not great. Our defensive line looks really good, though. 90s, high 80s. Of course, our left outside linebackers, low 80s. Middle linebackers in 91, same with the right outside. We got Storm, Goggins, and Parms who are going to be leading our cornerback room, including Martino as well, all in the 80s as well. An 83 free safety and an 85 strong safety. I was hoping we were going to be a little bit better, but if we were able to get 12-3 last season with the team that is worse than this one, brother, I think we're going to be fine. However, that would require some pretty good luck in sim again like we had last season. And we have just made it to the playoffs. I don't see any reason why we can't do it this year, too. And it does look like this schedule is a little harder than last season. Obviously, we have to take on number 18 Florida State, which is going to be a big game. But again, our conference schedule actually looks pretty doable. But again, the guys that we're really going to go after here, we might try to go after some of the 5 stars, but realistically, we really just need offensive linemen. So let's see if we can find some agile guys and put them on the board. So I think we found the kryptonite to this type of rebuild because it does not look like there are a lot of agile athletes up on the board. And if they are, we're kind of locked out. And again, it's not like a lot of these guys are really going to make a huge difference because they're only going to be here for 1 year, even if they are a 5-star gem. But again, the ones we really need to focus on are the offensive linemen. And I get it. These guys are all centers right now, but we're going to have to move them along. Steve President, thank you, sir. You are a 4-star gem. And realistically, these are really going to be the only guys that are going to be starting next season because we're going to need the offensive linemen. We are losing a lot this offseason, and we don't have a ton to begin with. Now, that might result in a weaker offensive line, but I think we can deal with it. And even though it's not like he's a gem, Junior Cheeks, you're getting a scholarship. But having to start so many freshmen on the offensive line means that I really think that our window is kind of closing and we need to get that this year. But the fact that we're not even a 90 overall yet kind of worries me a little bit. But if our defense is going to be really stellar like Joey Hager was in this last game with 3 TFLs and 2 sacks, then maybe we can actually rely on them. But it wasn't just the defense. We scored 70 points in that one. Treggs ended up having 6 touchdowns, though he had 2 interceptions, but 306. Orlando had 91 yards with 3 touchdowns on the ground. Treggs had 1 on the ground too. And Poindexter with 102 and 2 touchdowns. Really insane game. Hearns even had 2 touchdowns, and he's a freshman. But can we keep that going against an FBS team? Facing K-State on the road, please tell me we're going to have 2 wins here. But unfortunately, that is not a good sign as we ended up losing 35-28. At least it was only a 1-score game, but unfortunately, we just couldn't get it done there. But hey, 1 loss is not a make or break. We need to pick up this win at home against FIU, though. They're 0-2. It shouldn't be that difficult. And somehow we end up losing. Please tell me someone just got injured or something. And no, just a kind of a rough game, unfortunately. We had pretty good offense, but I guess nothing on defense. And the fact that we're 1-2 and probably going to go to 1-3 because we're playing top 25 Florida State in the next game, we have to bring in a lot of these offensive players, especially the guys that might be able to play on the line. I know this guy isn't, but still, someone that we're going to have to bring in. So let's end up doing that. And let's also get Delvin Atwood here and bring him for that same week. Unfortunately, that game is only going to be a week away, but come on. Florida State on the road, number 12 ranked, and that's what we were expecting. 1-3, and yeah, I think we're going to have to play 1 more season. The good news is, at least it's still really early in the season, and we have not played a conference game yet. If we can come back and be undefeated for the rest of the season, I don't know. I don't think that we're going to have a chance, but let's just go out there and let's just take it 1 game at a time. Because if we look too far ahead, yeah, we're going to definitely lose a lot more games than we already have. And let's go, Hearns! Gets in the end zone, let's go, gets wide open, and we got to score early. They would end up scoring 2, and it is now tied at 14 as we need to get some points here before half, and we got them wide open. And he does get it. Hearns down the sideline. I think this might be his third today. I'm glad we ended up putting him at wide receiver instead of tight end. And look at that. We have an 11-point lead here in the fourth. With just a minute left, we need to pick up one stop here on fourth down. Don't tell me he actually burnt him. That is rough, but at least we bring him down. Obviously, they would end up picking up that score, and we need to recover this now, because now it's a 5-point game. And that is not the kind of game we want to see, as we're just going to go down here. And we did score a lot of points, but man, giving up that 13 in the fourth quarter is a little rough. I mean, it's great that we can do that in the games, but why can't we do that in Sim? But either way, we do end up getting a wide receiver, Dimitri Harrison. It's nice. It's going to free up some hours, as unfortunately we do lose Vea as well. But at least it's a wide receiver, not an offensive lineman. But thankfully for us, we're able to hop into this game too, because we have a couple guys that are visiting. Let's see if we can get back to 500, and let's see if we can beat North Texas on our turf. And thankfully up one score at pretty much the end of the first half. We have a 3rd and 7 to be able to go up by 2. The question is, can we end up converting this? As we will have Hearns because of our patience. And he's going to get it all the way down to the 6-yard line. Only 6 yards to go. Let's get into the end zone. We go a little play action. And unfortunately, we hit him a little bit late, but we get 4. This is where we finish it right here. Let's end up picking this up on the drag. We got a touchdown. And man, we somehow always end up in these situations, don't we? Let's end up picking up the in. Let's go. Poindexter ends up catching that. We're all the way down to the 2-yard line. So let's just try to pound this one into the right side. Let's see if we can get in and extend our lead to 3 scores. We can. Orlando gets in. And not only do we get the win, but we get the shutout against North Texas. This should result in a couple commits, but again, that also brings us to 3-3. And thankfully, one of the commits is an offensive lineman. Anthony Jones ends up committing. And we need to really continue the success against the Roadrunners. But again, on the road, but their own foreign conference, let's make sure that we don't give them their first win in conference. And hopefully it's a good sign as Eldrin Camp ends up committing. And we stay undefeated in conference and 4-3 on the season now, but we have a tough matchup against Tulsa now. Now this one legitimately makes me really nervous. I hope that we go to 5-3. And again, hopefully this is going to be a good sign. Atwood ends up committing, which is great. And we stay undefeated in conference, 4-0, 5-3 on the season. And damn, Poindexter ended up getting Offensive Player of the Week with only 75 yards, but 4 touchdowns. But unfortunately, there are 3 other teams at the top of the conference that are undefeated in conference. So hopefully a couple of them will drop off, but we need to make sure that we stay perfect. And I just realized we never ended up checking the stats. I apologize for that, guys. But Treg's 2,100 yards, and keep in mind this is through 8 games, not 6. But 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's actually having a good season. He's even got 420 on the ground, nice, with 2 touchdowns. Orlando 366 with 6 touchdowns. But Hearns is killing it, man. 827 with 10 touchdowns. Mokafisi 400 for 5. And especially because of that 4-touchdown game from Poindexter, he's got 8 on the season too. Now defensively, again, this is where I think we really need to pick it up. But pretty decent pressure, not too bad. Hager with 6 TFLs. Lear and Marcelin with 5. Holiday with 4. And we got Lear with 5.5 sacks. Hager with 4. And Deere with 3. Now our secondary definitely needs to pick it up a little bit. Boylston with 3 interceptions. That's great. All of them with 1, but come on. Again, our defense needs to pick it up a little bit. And what better time than this game against Temple, right? On the road again, but they're 2-6. We need to pick up this win to stay perfect. And the 4-star Steve President, the center, ends up committing, as well as Dakota Creech, another offensive lineman. But we end up losing against Temple, the 2-6 team. Are you kidding? Thankfully, Tulane dropped as well, but UAB and East Carolina are still 5-0. And unfortunately, we are playing East Carolina this week as well on the road, so we can't hop into it. Let's hope for the best. Ooh, good enough to get a 5-star tight end, Pat Lossman. Please tell me that means we won along with Cesar Bermudez. And we did win. So we can't beat Temple, but we can beat top 25 undefeated East Carolina. Gotcha. And at this point, we're done with recruiting. I mean, we did only get 8 guys, but we got some really good ones here, including these 2 gems. One of which is actually an offensive lineman, so he'll definitely fit right into the starting lineup next season. And I only say next season because with 4 losses this season, I don't think we're making it to the playoffs. We could potentially end up winning our 3rd consecutive American title, but we'll see. We need to keep it up here against Charlotte. But as a 5-5 team, I think it might be a little difficult. I know we disposed of East Carolina, but feel like we got a little bit lucky there, I'm not gonna lie. So we get Hearns across the middle. He ends up picking up a good 5. I know we're going an empty back set, but if we need to, we can always scramble, and I feel like we can pick up some good yards on that. Thankfully, we'll hit him. He's wide open there. They're not over in that zone, 3rd and inches. But I really trust our offensive line to be able to pick up this first down, hold those blocks, and we don't. 4th and 1. But if I didn't go for it, what kind of coach would I be? Am I right? I'd be a good coach if I didn't go for it. But that's okay. We're going to take this right here. Thankfully, we're going to scramble out. Oh, yeah, we're going to be able to pick this up on the ground. Maybe not the smartest play call, but hey, it worked. Well, they did respond, and now we have to end up scoring before half just to go right back up. Let's see if we can do it here. No, he's not going to go on a route down the field. He would have been wide open, but we still pick it up with our feet. But still, that could have been a much bigger gain. Just unfortunate that that was not the case. Thankfully, we hit Hearns. I don't know why he tried to spin there, but we got a first. Come on, let's keep it going. Just keep working downfield. Oh my gosh, Hearns is going to be wide open. He beat his defender, and we get down to the 1. I thought he had the touchdown there, but unfortunately, not quite. And you know what? I hate to do it, but we're going to run it right in again. Wish we could have got that through the air, but you know what? A score is a score. I don't know why, but I just feel the need to really boost his stats in the air. You know, I don't know why, but I want to. There we go. Get him up there. That was a stupid throw. But Patrick Mahomes over there ends up picking up the first down. Now, if only we could get the refereeing as if we were the Chiefs. Probably not going to happen. Well, let's go 1st and goal. Let's pick this up on the ground with Orlando. And let's go. Another one in the end zone. And that thankfully would be the end of the game. We beat Charlotte 28-14. And hey, we actually still have a chance for the conference. And thankfully, everyone else up here has had a loss. Obviously, we beat East Carolina. They ended up losing this week again, too. But it's us, UAB, and Tulane here at the top. Let's make sure that we go out here against Army. We need to pick up this win. That way, I think we're going to get into the conference championship. But are we going to get to the playoffs? I don't think so. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but honestly, I think we might be fooling ourselves if we think that we have a shot. Can we get the first down? Thankfully, we do. Let's keep marching it downfield. Let's see if we can get some good points here as we end up getting it out to Hearns, but 3 guys are there to meet him. But not before he gets up about 9 yards. Let's go. We definitely need to be the ones to score first. There we go. Poindexter ends up sitting down there in the middle. Again, our offense has been pretty good this season. I mean, there were a couple games where maybe it was a little shaky, like things like that. But for the most part, they have actually been extremely good. And let's see if we can actually hit him in the corner there. How did that bounce so high? And I can't believe we are relying on a screen pass right here. But we're going to. He's got a good block. I wish he would have actually gotten it out there a little further, but he gets pushed up for the first. And is a great way to end the first quarter. I love to see that. And they end up blitzing, but we scramble out. Oh, he's going to be open as long as we are accurate. Mokafisi, let's go. We need to hold him to a field goal, keep it a 2-score game. Come on, get in there. No way they end up picking that up. And he's out. No? Touchdown? Thankfully, they didn't pick up the 2-point. But we need to get in the end zone to be able to win. Last play before the 2-minute. Mokafisi, please burn him on the outside. Yes! That's what we needed, baby! That's what I'm talking about. Get some speed. Get some speed, but we're down at about the 19. And we're actually going to start running the ball a little bit. I want to wind this clock down. I know we still need to get into the end zone, but we also need to keep the clock rolling so they don't have a chance to respond. Thankfully, they're not calling timeouts yet. That's great for us. As we get it out to Poindexter, and let's just go down. It's the 2nd and goal. We are winding this clock down just a bit. Let's keep this up. As we end up scrambling out, we're going to be able to get into the end zone. I was hoping to take off a little more time on the clock, but 30 seconds isn't too bad. I think we can hold them. But that is going to require some damn good defense here, as we need to pick up a big stop as Lear gets through. Oh, but he picked him up, though. How did you leave him wide open? Martino, you are not good, are you? Which means now we need to pick up a score. 15 seconds, but all 3 timeouts, thankfully. Let's see if we can use them wisely. As we chuck it downfield. He gets it. Let's go, Mokafisi. He gets into the end zone. Let's go, and we respond right away. That's what I'm talking about. We should get this win. And somehow, we come out of this one with a win 22-19. With 28 of those points coming in the 4th quarter. Now, that's not really going to impress any committees or anything like that, but we do get up to number 23. And as we see right here, aside from Mokafisi's 144 yards with 2 touchdowns that made him player of the week, we're going to end up getting into the American Championship yet again against Tulane, number 21. But before we end up getting into the conference championship, Traeg's just shy of 3,000 right now with 32 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. He does have 7 on the ground. Orlando with 8 himself. Hearns in his, well, I guess sophomore year, 1,050 yards with 10 touchdowns. Mokafisi, 638 and 8 touchdowns. And Poindexter, 561 and 9 touchdowns. It's nice to see that we're getting it done in the air, but it is unfortunate we are losing Poindexter next year. Looks like our defense picked it up a little bit. Marcellin with 11 TFLs. Lear and Hager with 9 apiece. And then 7 for Lear and Deere. Hager with 5.5 and Marcellin with 5 as well. Hey, look at that. Agba ended up getting another interception, but we need a couple more. And hopefully we can do that in this game against Tulane. They're 9-3. I don't think either of us have a chance to be able to make it into the playoffs, but again, let's just go out there, let's pick up our 3rd consecutive championship, and let's just hope for the best. And it looks like that speech to the players before the game ended up kind of, I guess, psyching them up a little bit. 1st and goal, we have a chance to go up by 3 possessions right here. Didn't think we were going to have that against Tulane. Where are you going, X? I thought you were going to sit in the end zone. That's okay. We didn't want him to have the touchdown anyways. You know what I mean? As thankfully, we can get it across. X is going to be wide open, and Mokafisi gets in for the 3rd touchdown of the day. And really, there hasn't been that much to show in this game. We're up 28-3. What is it with us going against ranked opponents? We always seem to have an easier time, even though we don't pick up that 3rd down. But realistically, it's not like we need to. We have this game pretty well in hand with 2 minutes to go. Let's stop them here on 4th down. Let's get them off the field. And let's get that ball back. They would end up scoring one more time, but that's how the conference championship ends. That is a 3-peat, and we take it 28-10. Now, if we could just sneak into the playoffs, that'd be even better. We do go up to number 21 in the nation. But question is, are we going to end up getting into the playoffs, or do we just have a regular bowl game? My guess is the latter, but you never know. We could be surprised right here. And that's kind of a surprise. Julian Duggar, 3,600 yards, 39 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Good for you, buddy. And yeah, we're going to be taking on Georgia Southern in the First Responder Bowl. That's great and everything, but that just means that Season 6 is definitely going to have to be the championship season. Good news is it's early National Signing Day. Let's actually see how good some of these guys are for next season. As Mr. President is an elite, where have you been this entire rebuild? We have an elite with Lossman as well. A normal with Bermudez as well as an impact. Normal, impact, and that's pretty much all we have. But to have 2 elites in this one when we really haven't had one this entire rebuild is kind of cruel, to be honest. So we'll take on 8-4 Georgia Southern. We are not going to play a lot of this game, to be honest with you, because if it ain't the playoffs, I don't care that much. But let's end up taking the win here. I mean, it's not like a win here is really going to mean anything, because even in terms of like scouting and everything, they aren't really going to matter, because we're not going to be really looking for anyone next season, because we need to win next season. Honestly, the last season any rebuild is kind of weird, because you're never going to be scouting guys, so you're really focusing on the games, which is great, but it's always fun to recruit, you know? Or at least that's one of my favorite things when it comes to this game. But either way, winning a championship would be even better, as how did we not get in? So come on, one more chance at just running right up the gut, and that's not going to work either. You've got to be kidding. But what if we go with that jet touch pass? Huh? Maybe we can get in on that one. I know we should go for the field goal, but screw it. Well, maybe we should have. And now we have to win in the 4th quarter, but that's okay. That's what we're built for, man. We do this all the time. Let's do it again. Why not? Let's have some fun with it. Thankfully, we end up hitting stock across the middle, down to the 20. But again, we obviously want to get in the end zone, so let's make sure that we do so, because Hearns is, well, always going to be open. We just need to hit him. Maybe we can find him. If not, we got Mokafisi across the middle, I believe. Oh, yeah, he's going to be open. That's what I'm talking about. Not only is that a 1st down, but we're down to the 3rd. Or to the 3, pardon me. Down to the 3rd. How dumb is that? All right, 1st and goal. Let's go right here. And let's get it out to Hearns. He gets in the end zone. We end up taking the lead. And I sim forward just about, what would that have been, like 50 seconds or something? And now we have a 2-score lead. Let's just close the door right here. Let's get up the middle. And let's keep that clock going. I know this game isn't wrapped up, but it just feels like it is. You know what I mean? As unfortunately, we can't pick that up. And we're up 11. They need a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal to be able to tie in a minute. We got this. Let's just get in the end zone right here. And let's just finish off this drive. And let's just pretend we got into the end zone on that one. But thankfully, we end up winning 21-10. Not a huge game. Wish that would have been the playoffs. But again, let's focus on next season and make that our championship season. And to think Rutgers got into the national championship game, but not us. Maybe not our proudest moment, but that's okay. They're taking on Georgia, and my guess would be that Georgia ends up coming out on top in this one. And we are right, 27-14. Now, we will have a lot of guys leaving to graduation, and that's a little rough, especially some of them being 88 overalls and actually making a pretty big impact on the team last season. We will end up having someone who will probably go in the pro draft, but again, losing some of these high overalls is going to be a little rough. We need some really good training results. And Marcellin does get taken in the 5th round. That is really great to see. Again, it doesn't really matter in terms of recruiting, but still, it's nice to actually see our team succeed past college. Now, unfortunately, having athletes in the transfer portal would really benefit us right now because, again, they should be like starter ready next season, but unfortunately, we don't have that luxury and we're just gonna have to roll with who we ended up getting. Now, before we end up getting into the guys that we're bringing in this season, so we can see we have a lot of guys on the ends, and if we look at the left outside linebacker, our best one is an 83 right now. And if we look at Ariza, who's an 87, he would end up being an 86 left outside linebacker, right? But here's the other thing. Everett, who is a 90 overall at the end, goes up to a 90 at left outside linebacker. I think we're going to end up moving him, and we're just going to see that 87 Ariza is going to be great on the end, and we are going to have an absolute monster at left outside linebacker and right outside linebacker. But we do have a ton of holes to actually fill here, unfortunately, and we do see that a lot of these offensive linemen are actually coming in at a pretty low overall. That's not great to see. Thankfully, though, he does end up going up a little bit up to a 63, but I don't think that's going to be starter worthy. Now, we are going with our lowest overalls right away, and I need to remember that, but hopefully a lot of these guys will actually improve a little bit. I mean, as long as Triggs actually has a little bit of time back there, then we might be okay. And unfortunately, this guy is much better on defense, but we're going to have to put him at left guard and just kind of put him over there for now. All right, we got our last kind of low overall guy. We're actually going to put him at left tackle. I know it's only a 60, but still, could be much worse. Now, Eldrin Camp is actually a pretty good defensive player, but again, we really need the guys on the line. Although Demetri Harris here is not going to be on the line, we're actually going to put him at wide receiver because we're going to need the depth. And Pat Lossman, I think he was the 5-star, is a 78 as a tight end. I think we're going to have to place him there. And that means that our president right here, 70 overall, is going to have to be on the offensive line. I know you're a great defensive player too, but we need you here. But like I said, there are a lot of holes on this offensive line. Our left tackle right now is only a 70 overall. Got a couple guys here, and I think we're going to have to move Payne over. But we have a 77 center, a 72 in President, who's going to be starting there at right guard, and no one at right tackle. So we're going to have to move someone. I think that means that Payne, who is the sophomore, is going to have to move over to right tackle. And unfortunately, that means that if we don't get any big training results here, we're going to be stuck with a pretty pitiful offensive line. I mean, a 70 overall left tackle, 87 at left guard, which is going to be great. But again, 77 in the center, 72 on right guard, and 74 at right tackle. Definitely a downgrade from what we had, and you can see from the overall up there, it's going to be a little tough for us. But if you see here, our free safety is a 76 overall. He might improve, I know, but what if he doesn't? We see Alonzo here is a 78, but he goes up to an 80 if we put him at free safety. So let's see if we can develop him there, and maybe we're actually have a pretty solid secondary. And then when you add on the fact that we actually have a really good linebacking crew and a great defensive line, our defense might, hopefully, actually be the difference here for us. We see we level up, and hopefully we'll see in the training results we go up to a 90. Wow, not even close, and our offense is the one that is really struggling. We do see a lot of defensive players that did go up into the 90s. Triggs gets up to 90 as well, so maybe we're going to be okay at quarterback. Orlando's going to be great in 89. We do have a couple good receivers. Hearns is a 96 speed, 89 overall. A lot of other guys in the 80s, but I'm suspecting that the reason why it's only an 86 overall is because Jackson only goes up to an 82, Wing's still an 87, Blade an 83. We're not going to see anyone at right guard. We know it's going to be a freshman, and only a 78 over at right tackle. Again, our line is going to be the main thing here. So we see our defensive line is really solid in the 90s. Left outside linebackers an 87, 91 in the middle, and a 92 on the right. We're going to be good here. 90, 86, 85 at corner. We're also going to have Alonzo who went up to an 85 at free safety and an 88 at strong safety. I know it doesn't seem like it's going to be extremely great or overpowering, but I think this team could be the one that actually leads us to a championship this season. Now, honestly, just to kind of get that overall up a little bit, we're going to let go of a couple of these guys that are very low overalls that we know are never going to see the field, like Obi here, because we have a lot of guys that are definitely, even if there are injuries that happen, are never going to end up seeing it. I mean, it's not going to make a major difference or anything, but it's going to make me feel a little bit better. And even if we aren't going to be recruiting this season, I'm actually kind of interested to see who we're going to be missing out on, as the fourth prospect right now is actually an agile. That would have been great. I'm actually going to scout him just to see how good he is. And man, with 92 strength, 77 run block, 81 pass block finesse, with quick drops, second level, screen enforcer, road dog, team player, and clear-headed, where was this guy a couple seasons ago? But we're not going to think about that now. We don't care about any of that. What we care about is winning a national title this season. And thankfully, we are starting the season in the top 25, and we're facing another FCS team to start. Let's see what ends up happening when we sim through this one. Because if this is another 70-point win, oh, that'd be great. Maybe not that much, but still, 49 points, that's actually incredible. As Treg's only 211, but 3 touchdowns will definitely take that. Orlando and him both have 1 on the ground and some pretty high totals. Nice to see that our running game actually worked out here. And since we aren't recruiting anyone and we're not going to have anyone coming in on a visit, I think what I'm going to do is just pick 3 games throughout this season and just play those. Everything else is going to be simmed. And right now, I think we're going to be looking at Tulsa, East Carolina, and maybe one of these later season matchups. As much as I'd love to play Old Dominion ourselves, I think it's probably not worth it. And thankfully I was right, as we end up picking up that one and we go up to number 15 in the nation. And I saw that Mokafisi actually ended up getting player of the week, but I didn't see his true stats. Strikes had 3 touchdowns, and all of them went to him, 165. That's great to see that we win that one, but we need to get some revenge against FIU. They embarrassed us last season and kind of took us out of playoff contention. Let's see if we can go 3-0 on them here. And that's the kind of start that we're talking about. We take them down in a rivalry game, and we go up to number 12 in the nation, now taking on Arkansas. But that doesn't matter, as we steamroll through them, and we go up to number 10 in the nation. And another really high-scoring game. We have not scored less than 30 in a game this season. And it's really great to see that Treg's is really thriving here. 363, 4 touchdowns. A little bit on the ground too, but Mokafisi 152 touchdowns as well. He's found his real target. And through the bye week, we go up to number 6 in the nation. Now we take on the Roadrunners at home. They're 3-2 this season. Let's stay undefeated. And we are just cruising along, 5-0 this season and up to number 5 in the nation. Not really a high-scoring game. We only ended up scoring 14, but still, not too bad. We ended up picking up the win, and that's what matters. And oh no, I think Treg's went out with an injury. Thankfully, it was only for the game, though. He'll be back next week. And honestly, looking at the schedule, I think Tulsa's going to have to be one of the games that we hop into, along with, again, East Carolina. And then we'll just have to see who ends up maybe improving a little bit. And let's see if we can end up taking them. I mean, Tulsa was ranked, and again, they are 4-2, which means we definitely need to get into this one. And look at that defense, man. We're all the way up to a 92 for our defense. Of course, that offense is lacking a little bit, but again, I think that's definitely the line. We have a great quarterback. We have a great supporting cast. Let's go out there and let's see if we can go 6-0. Thankfully, we ended up scoring first, but now they're on the verge of potentially getting past midfield. But we can pick up a big stop here on 3rd and 7. Oh no, he's going to scramble out, but thankfully we take him down 4th and 2. And now we need to do a lot to be able to prevent them from getting in the end zone. I can allow them to get 3, but getting, more than that is not going to be okay, as we end up getting a sack. Sorry, I forgot we sent the blitz and that guy got in unblocked. I love that. Let's go. Let's keep backing him up because we need to. Oh, where 47, where are you at? Now I saw the other guy there, but still, he should have been there looking for the. No shot, he had his foot in. Unfortunately, they got another score after that, and now in the 4th, we're down by a score. And we need to pick up the 1st down, as we will to not Hearns, unfortunately. But if you don't think we're going for it right here, you are out of your mind, as we're going to get Mokafisi, and he hangs on to it, 1st down. That's what we need to see here. Now let's go, 1st and 10. Oh yeah, that's a touchdown, baby. Let's go. But we gave him a lot of time, but our defense can hold them for sure. Thankfully they do, and we have pretty good field position here at the 40. And 2.5 minutes left with all our timeouts. I feel good about this. What a spin move by Orlando, and we got a good gain of 8. Take positive yardage every time because, again, we really just need to get a field goal here. I want to get it past midfield before we start running more clock, because we're definitely not in field goal range. But we have a lot of time. Another great run right here. Oh, we shed off his block too soon. But we can get to the outside here. Let's get some good yards. Oh no, he got off his block too. And now, unfortunately, that's going to have to call for a pass here. Please get up to the first down. We need this to convert. And we do. That's Mokafisi. That's what I'm talking about. And now we can start to burn their timeouts. I was trying to think about how many timeouts they had to how many downs we had, but I think we're going to be good here. Get some decent blocks, but only a yard. All right, we're going to run it on this one. We just need to keep the clock going, honestly. So let's go. Oh, we're going to get the first down. Let's go. We're good now. All we have to do is let the clock run down, and we'll take our field goal. As much as I'd love to get a ton of points here, it's not necessary. We just need to score more points in general, and we'll be fine. For the win, let's get this. It is a very short kick. Nice little chip shot. And we get it in. We end up taking Tulsa down. And we go to 6-0 and stay undefeated in conference. Again, not really a high-scoring game, but those are the types of games that we need to win to be able to actually make it to the playoffs this season. And being ranked in the top 5 is actually a really good way to start. We just need to stay up there. But now that we are 6-0 and we're halfway through the season, let's take a look at these stats, as it is really unfortunate that Treggs ended up going out in that one game. But he's having a great season. 1,300 yards. Yes, we wish that could be a little bit more, but still 15 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. Of course, he is leading the team in rushing with 312 and 2 touchdowns himself, but Orlando's found the end zone 5 times, which is great. Mokafisi on track for definitely getting way over 1,000 yards. 664 with 10 touchdowns. Lowell only has 271 with no touchdowns. Hearn 176. So Mokafisi has definitely emerged as the main wide receiver, even though he is a handful overall less than Hearn's. But still, great to see that he's able to get free and be able to get some scores. We got some pretty good TFLs, get a little bit of pressure. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that last name, but 4.5 sacks, Ariza at 3, and Lear at 2. We can definitely do a little better on defense. I feel like they're a bit lackluster, but at the same time, we're winning, so we really shouldn't be upset. The question is this a championship team? We'll find once we sim through this game against Army. Can we stay undefeated? And thankfully we do. 7-0, still 3-0 in conference. And we're going to be taking on Charlotte here. Now looking at the schedule quickly. Again, we're definitely going to be taking on East Carolina, despite the fact that they are now only 4-3. And maybe we take on USF. We could definitely take on Temple as well and be able to get a little bit of revenge from last season. But I think that it might be better to wait for USF since they are 4-3. But we'll definitely see after this next week. We'll see how the records play out after Charlotte. I mean, our schedule doesn't look extremely difficult. Let's just make sure that we pick up the wins that we need to, like this one on the road against Charlotte. Staying 8-0, number 4 in the nation. That championship contender for some reason went down, but it's still at an A. And Treggs getting player of the week, 228 with 4 touchdowns. He is just emerging as an absolute talent. And even though we weren't able to redshirt him, he has grown a lot. I'm looking at his skill caps that were pretty much non-existent. He's hit most of them. Of course, that power can go up a little bit, and same with the accuracy and the quickness, which is pretty damn crazy. But he's maxed out on IQ, health, and also elusiveness. The guy is a superstar. And seeing all that actually makes me confident to be able to sim through this game against Temple. Let's play East Carolina, let's play USF, and let's see if we can go to 9-0. And we do, and for some reason go down to number 6 in the nation. Huh. Oh my, Straczynski, 4 TFLs and a sack. Dude, this team is actually pretty damn good. But again, what do you expect when we're actually recruiting athletes? Am I right? And looks like we're scoring quite a bit. Of course, the kind of lackluster one is the one that we ended up playing. But still, 49, 45, and 32. That is great to see. Dominating these wins, not just winning them barely. So again, we're going to be playing East Carolina. And actually, depending on how this week ends up going, we'll either pick USF or North Texas. Both are on the road, and both are going to be important games. But I feel like we really need to take on East Carolina. They were ranked earlier in the season. I think they were ranked last year for a little bit as well. So it's a team that we're really going to have to worry about. But we'll figure out between these two which one we're going to go with. But we can't look too far ahead because we have this really important matchup at home against East Carolina. Now, lucky for us, they're not in the top 25 anymore. They are sitting around about 500, maybe just above it. And they're at an 83 overall. But we've been in situations like this before where we've kind of floundered against teams like this. Let's make sure we go in there, we get the win, and we keep our undefeated record intact. And there really hasn't been much action in this one as we're up 16-7, got that 9-point lead. But we're sitting at a 3rd and 10, and we need to really pick this one up if we want to keep this drive going, and thankfully Orlando catches that for the first. So let's keep this going along with the clock, and let's get it out to him. Mokafisi gets out there, but gets hit by the one guy, but still gets 4. He definitely could have had more if that guy ended up holding his block, but unfortunately, that was not the case, as we're going to end up getting the guy in the flat. Orlando only gets 1, but 5 yards is not a lot for this offense. They always seem to pick it up, as thankfully Hearns gets it. Doesn't quite get in the end zone. We're down to the 2. And I really trust Orlando and our offensive line to pound this one in, as thankfully he just has a wide open hole to run through. So I wish this game was a little more eventful, but hey, you know what? We're still going to take a win no matter what, as we're just going to scramble out for this one. And we end up getting a pretty good gain. It was enough for a first down to be able to keep the clock rolling, as we're going to be able to do that yet again. So we get out to Mokafisi, who's going to end up getting up to about the 11-yard line. I think that's where we're going to end this. But excuse me for trying to pad some stats right here, as we'll get it out to Koski, and we got another touchdown. I know that's a little selfish, but we needed to make this look a lot better than it was. 31-7, but again, that score does not tell the whole story. And I only say that because if we would have played that the right way, we would have only won by about 2 possessions. But again, I am extremely greedy. Now, looking at the schedule, it looks like USF and North Texas are both 4-6. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to sim the USF game, and let's take on North Texas. I feel like I want to play for an undefeated record if we can beat USF this week. I do not want to leave our undefeated season in the hands of Sim in our last game. I know it's a little risky to do the 11th one as well, but I have a lot of confidence in our team to be able to take down USF. And thankfully we do. We go up to number 4 in the nation, and we're 11-0, baby. Let's go. Now it's up to us to beat North Texas, who is now 5-6. If they end up winning, they're bowl eligible. If we end up winning, we have an undefeated season and pretty much a free ticket to the playoffs. Even if we end up losing this one, we should end up making the playoffs and probably the conference championship game. But come on, an undefeated season feels so much better. And I'm not going to lie, I'm actually really surprised that Sim was really nice to us, even in the games that we didn't play. Let's end up hitting him over there. I know it's not going to be a lot, but at least we'll take positive yardage. And we've had some really good luck with Sim before, especially in the North Carolina series. But at the same time, with the overall that this team has, I was not expecting it as we end up getting the first down. But I am damn proud of this team for getting to where they're at right now. Again, I wasn't sure that a national championship was going to be possible, but they might have a chance. I am very, very proud of where we're at right now. But let's make sure that we get in the end zone. I think we will with Hearns, who pounds his way in. We got an early lead. It's literally been all us since that one drive, as we have it 2nd and goal. Up 21-0 here at pretty much the end of the game. As we take the drag, Lowell gets in, gets rocked, but gets the touchdown. Honestly, one stop, and I feel like we can shut the lid on this game and take our undefeated season. That would be ideal, but unfortunately our secondary decides to kind of take a play off there, which would unfortunately turn into a touchdown for them, but we still have a 3-score lead, and we also have the ball back, thankfully. And thankfully for us, we have it down in the red zone, 1st and 10, and they have all 3 timeouts. We're going to have to waste those. But would it be bad to try to get one more score here? That's the question I'm thinking about right now. Typically, I would say yes, but Triggs needs a 5th touchdown here, and he might have to do it on the ground, and he is going to. 4 in the air, 1 on the ground, and we got ourselves a dub. Sim would end up scoring 1 more at the end of the game, but hey, we take our win, we have an undefeated season, and let's get ready for the quarterfinals. And thankfully, that last score did end up going to Orlando, who had 127 on 12 carries and had that touchdown. He deserved it. But first, I'm putting the cart before the horse. We're taking on Tulane, number 13 in the country, for the 3rd year in a row in the conference championship. Let's go out there and take care of them like we did the last 2 years. These guys have definitely been a pain in my ass, like this entire rebuild. So let's go out there, let's take care of them. We're up to a 90 overall. That offense improving just a little bit, taking on their 84. Let's go out there and let's actually have a full undefeated season. And at a certain point, you'd think that they'd get sick and tired of losing to us, but thankfully we have a 1-score lead here in the 2nd quarter with the chance to potentially get more points before the half. So we get a nice little throw out there to Duggan, and he gets down to the 30. And here's our chance to go up by 2 possessions. Let's get him out there. And Koski gets in for the touchdown. Up 2 now. Hopefully we aren't just spending all our luck here, because if we're going to lose a game this season, this would be the one. Because Again, this one, even if we lose it, we're still going to go to the playoffs. But if we lose in the playoffs, we're done. But hey, if these guys are going to be as solid as they are right here, I'm always going to be okay with it as we get the bubble. Lyle picks that up. I thought that was going to get picked. Thankfully, it wasn't. It allows us to preserve a 3-score lead as we have right now, 35-14. Thankfully, we picked that one up. And if he goes down, I think we have this game. Maybe not if our offense doesn't know how to really move the ball, but that's fine. They end up picking up that one, unfortunately, but we're going to keep them down. Realistically, they still have a couple timeouts, and they could still kind of do something here. But if we end up stopping them right here with a pick, that would have ended the game. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and now we're going to have to stop them here on 2nd down. They have 3 downs to go for it because you know they're going for it on 4th down. And thankfully, we get in there, but he ends up throwing that away. That was a little strange, I'm not going to lie. Looks like it was just a little flick of the wrist. And thankfully, we look back and we knock that out, 4th and 10. One more play right here. We're actually sending 5 to give a little more pressure. And thankfully, he ends up dropping that. I don't know what our linebacker was doing, though. Not that an interception is something that we needed. We just wanted him to bat it down, but he didn't even do that. But thankfully, Orlando gets another 2 on that. And I was going to say, one more 1st down ices the game, but they're not even calling timeouts. They're accepting their fate that we're going to end up winning this one as we get a holding call. To be fair, I kind of deserve that. But still, 3-possession lead. We're going to be fine here. We'll get some good blocks. That's going to get Orlando some more. And just like that, we take the conference again as we are just going to punt it as high as we can just to waste as much time as possible. And that is the game, baby. Let's go. Another conference championship under our belts. We're 13-0, and we're going to get into the quarterfinals of the playoffs. Now, we just need to make sure that this luck continues. And unfortunately, in his last season, Treggs isn't going to win the Heisman. That goes to Velasquez, who had 48 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Yeah, I see why we didn't win. Treggs was in the running, though. He was up there at number 4, but unfortunately, Velasquez and Najvar were just way too good. But you have to give him a lot of credit, man. 3,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a lot of those coming from me. He would have been perfect if we just ended the whole season. Because honestly, I feel like this team is better in sim than it is when I'm actually using them. And Tregg, 771 on the ground with 5 touchdowns. Orlando, 748, I know not the 1,000, but 12 touchdowns himself. Mokafisi, 1,053 with 15 touchdowns. Lyle ended up coming in the clutch, 857, 10 touchdowns. He ended up picking it up at the end of the season. Hearn, 617 and 7. Our 3 main receivers right there, and they all did extremely well. Our defense, not too bad. They picked it up a little bit too. Straczynski, 7 TFLs. Lear, 6. Guidugli, 5. I am mispronouncing that. Ariza with 4. And then, of course, Ariza ended up leading the team in sacks with 5.5. Guidugli, again, 4.5. And then 4 for Straczynski and Lear. And in terms of interceptions, we had Parms and Holiday with 2, but those are the only guys with multiple interceptions. We only had 8 this season, less than 1 per game, but still, it was enough to allow us to be 13-0. But really, none of those stats mean anything when it comes to the Fiesta Bowl. We're playing number 6 North Carolina in the quarterfinal, and let's see if we can continue moving on. And looking at the bracket, looks like Alabama beat Louisiana just barely, and they're going to be taking on LSU. Texas beat Michigan, taking on Miami. North Carolina took down USC pretty handily, and now we're going to have to face them. And then Clemson beat Virginia. They're taking on Oregon. So if we win this week, we're taking on the winner of Oregon and Clemson. So we're going to have a pretty tough route to the championship. And especially since that top bracket looks pretty good too, it's going to be a little tough, but I have faith. But again, 1 game at a time. We're taking on North Carolina in the Fiesta Bowl. Let's take the victory right here. They look really good, but again, our team is pretty damn good too. Plus, we need to get some revenge for getting bounced early last year. But here we go. 3rd and 3. No score yet. Let's just pick this one up. Yeah, he's going to be open. That's perfect. We had enough time. Hearns. There we go. Nice little juke up to the 11. But to be safe, let's keep it on the ground right here. Let's see if we can get in. We got great blocks. Holy cow, but we fumble. But we get it back. That was way too much for 1 play right there. My heart's beating way too fast. Let's go. Let's get in there. We're going to go with the fullback dive. He is not big enough to be a fullback. I love that our halfback is bigger than our fullback. That is absolutely fantastic. Come on, let's get into the end zone right here. And no, we don't even get that ball out. But we're on the 4-yard line, and we've done this pretty much all season. We're going to be able to get into the end zone right here, I'm telling you. Thankfully, we will not. But we still ended up scoring at a different time, and now At half, we have a chance to go up by one more. Let's see if we can end up doing that right here, though. Let's get him out there. That's going to get picked. Nope. Thank God it's not. We need to make better decisions here. I'm getting a little flustered. We're going to be fine, though. Tregs has enough ice in his veins for the both of us. Let's go up to Hearns. All the way down to the 27. And that's what happens when you're patient and you let things develop. Especially at the speed of some of these guys that we have. They're going to be able to blow past them. But if you can't hit them in the hands, what's the use? Fortunately, that was not accurate, and now we're going to have to pick this one up ourselves. Let's go! What a great throw to Lossman! And he's got the speed to get around them. And look at the size of him, too, and he's outspeeding those guys. Shit. And man, we are dominating North Carolina. This team is so much more dominant than I thought they were going to be. So we get up to Mokafisi for 5. I mean, we are only up by 2 possessions, but still, our defense is holding pat, and they're looking really good. And thankfully, Mokafisi cannot catch that, but at least it's not intercepted. Yes, I am at that point now where if I'm not getting intercepted, I'm pretty damn happy. But let's go. We should have waited. Mokafisi was wide open, and I did not take it. But at least we're still going to go up by 3 possessions, 17-0. And now on 4th and 4, we have a chance to end the game for real right here. Come on, someone get out there and throw. Why is no one covering him? That would lead to a score, and now we have to recover this onside kick. We do, we win. We don't. We're screwed, but yes, just go down, buddy. It was a very narrow win, but it was a win nonetheless. We're moving on to the semifinals, 17-14. But again, we have a really tough opponent ahead of us. I mean, Tregs didn't have his best game, 237, 2 touchdowns in that interception. Orlando only 31 on the ground. We didn't get it done there. Hearns, of course, with the touchdown, which is really great and some pretty good yards too. Our defense only 2 TFLs, 1 sack. Thankfully, 1 interception, though. We need to pick it up if we want to win the championship, especially if we want to beat Clemson in the Rose Bowl. It's going to be a tough one, but hey, I think we can do it. We do have that slight overall advantage over them just because of our defense. The question is, can they come to play, and can we stop that 89 overall offense? Well, looks like both offenses can handle the defenses just fine, as it is 7-7 already. And we're going to take our tight end, Lossman, right there, just wide open to the 24. And now we'll have a chance to pound it in here on 1st and goal. Let's see if we can take that 1 possession lead, as he does not get blocked. Again, we kind of knew our line was a little weak, but that's okay. Let's get him out there. Orlando is going to have the speed. We got ourselves a touchdown and a 1 possession lead with a chance to extend it here. Minute 24 left. Let's see if we can get it. We're going to step up. And we break the tackle. Let's go. Get a good block. Tregs is going to get all the way down to the 50. Again, the great thing about a scrambling quarterback. Am I right? So let's go. Let's pick this up. Oh my gosh. Can't believe he got out there. We're going to scramble for it once more. Good block. Good little juke. Down to the 30. But we can't continue to make him do that. You know what I mean? He's going to have to pick up something in the air, and Lyle can't hang on to it. You can definitely tell there was like no zip on that ball, and he is exhausted. But he's going to be able to get around it, I'm telling you, because he's going to scramble one more time. And thankfully hold on to the ball, 3rd and 2. That's all right. We're burning time. We got 3 timeouts if we need them, but are we going to need them? No, we're not. We're going to have to kick the field goal. And don't get me wrong, that is rough, but if we can take a 2 possession lead, that would be great. Doesn't have the distance. Oh, just barely. And thankfully that proved to be the right decision, because they are not able to score. And thankfully we're able to pick up that 3rd inches and get another chance to score. Now they always seem to put us in on these like 3rd and shorts, which I get it. Key moments, but come on. We need more moments than that, and we're going to have to take another 3. I mean, I wouldn't be upset with a 13-point lead, but at the same time, we just need to hit it, and that was really close. 4th and 7, let's get a big stop right here, because they're going to be throwing it into an interception. Just sit down. No, don't. Thankfully, that didn't result in the score. I wanted him to stay in the end zone, but he just didn't. But either way, 4th and 6, here's their chance to kind of make up for that, but we get... I thought we were going to get through, but thankfully, no. Okay, you know what? Screw it. Take it back so we're not pinned back at the 1. That was the reason why they got it back so quickly, is because we were pinned back. We just had to run 3 straight times, but thankfully, doesn't matter. Our defense holds their offense 20-7, and we're going to the national championship game. An even worse game from Tregs, unfortunately, though. 134 with a touchdown and an interception. Still nothing really on the ground either. Orlando just 32 yards with the touchdown. Tregs had 62, as you saw quite a bit there. Not a lot in the air. Mokafisi with the 1 touchdown, but no one broke 52. That is a little rough. But, again, that was basically all our defense today. Gadugli ended up having the 2 TFLs. Pruden Holiday with 1. And then Ariza with the 2 sacks, and we had 3 big interceptions. That is how we kept them to 7. And even though we won the Rose Bowl, we have our eyes set on a bigger prize, and that's taking the national championship away from Alabama. But we've already had to take down a couple of really tough opponents, North Carolina and Clemson, but time for us to go from the ACC to the SEC and take down Alabama. I mean, imagine facing Miami and just pretty much going through the entire ACC. But no, we got a big challenge here against Alabama. We're both 90 overalls, but obviously their offense is a little better than ours, but our defense really does take the cake. Let's hope that they can go out there, do the same thing that they did against our first 2 opponents. I mean, we have a lot of things on the line here. We have a championship, we have an undefeated season, like a lot of things. As we end up hitting Lossman, oh my goodness, he gets free. Does he have the speed? Not quite, but down to the 16 in the red zone. And anytime we can get an early red zone opportunity, boy, I will take it as we just run to the outside. Got some good blocks, but only 4. But hey, we're being safe with the ball. That really is the important thing. Thankfully, Lowell gets free of his defender, and we get down to the 1. So let's cap this first drive off with Orlando just going right up the middle. What is going on here? I don't even know. Looked like a party there, but we get in the end zone. And thankfully, we still maintain a 1-possession lead here in the second, but 14-7, not looking like the defenses are really showing up here. Thank you, Lowell. Get out there. Big spin move, but into a defender all the way down to the 30. So we're getting closer to scoring. At least we're pretty much in field goal range. Now let's see if we can just keep that. Woo! Nice little spin move by Orlando. That's what you love to see from the receivers. Oh my. They're blitzing? Oh, no. Thank you very much for just throwing that into the ground. For how many guys they were blitzing, it felt like we had enough time to be able to kind of get that out. And there we go. We got Hearns all the way down for a 3rd and 1. So since we do kind of want to control the clock, let's actually run this as well. Let's get some good blocks, and we're getting all the way down to the 3 or 2. So not a spot where we should be throwing it, but we're going to do it anyways, damn it. Why not? Because we got Koski in the end zone. We got a 2-score lead against Alabama. 40 seconds left. They do have 1 timeout, but I know they're going to be saving that. Hopefully we can have a chance to be able to stop them. Because the last thing I want right now is for them to get into the end zone. That's the biggest thing. I can deal with a field goal, but we need to maintain this lead. Come on, get out there. There we go. Big stop right there. 20 seconds left. So this might be their last play before the end of the half. Oh, they're going for the screen. Damn it. Someone get out there. Good stop. And they're going to have to just kick the field goal at least. If they would have gotten the end zone on that one, I would have been so sad. But it would have been so on brand for me, let's be honest. The good news is the score remains the same in the 4th quarter now. We got a chance to potentially go up by 2 possessions and put this game away, as Orlando gets a big gain up there to the 8. I'm surprised that we haven't leaned on him more. He has been so good. But unfortunately, I guess it's been our line. If we had a stronger line, I would definitely say we would have to do that more, but unfortunately that's not the case. And you guys please just flame me in the comments for this one, but we're going for it on 4th down. I have faith in these guys. And unfortunately that was dumb. I'm sorry, I know I play stupid aggressively sometimes, only because I thought that we could have gotten in, but unfortunately that accuracy is not what we needed as they pick up that 4th. But we can still pick up the stop. We got the 2-possession lead, and regardless, even if they end up getting 7 here, oh my gosh, bad pursuit. Even if they end up picking up 7 here, then they still need a touchdown to be able to end up winning the game. Or even tying it. They wouldn't be able to tie it. That'd be a crazy 4-point play. But the way they're playing right now could be a big possibility. I should have just taken that field goal. But hey, if that comes back to bite me in the ass, I only have myself to blame. That's a big positive at least. You never want to blame your failures on other people, right? Great play right there by them. That's another first. The offense is definitely much better than the ones that we faced in the American. So, come on. We need to find a way to stop them. Don't allow him to go out. But unfortunately he does, and that ends up stopping the clock. Oh, man, this is rough. I wanted to get down to the 2-minute warning. That's all right. Let's get it right here. Big stop. Nope, he is going to be wide open again. Thankfully, he steps out. If he didn't, that would have been a for sure touchdown. Come on, we can't let them in the end zone before 2 minutes. They end up, oh, not running it, but let's go. What? I thought he was sacked, but he still got the ball out. But thankfully, we're within the 2 minutes now. Come on, we need to pick up the stop. There it is. We end up picking up the sack, our 4th of the game. And a big chance to be able to stop these guys right here. Come on, just get in there. We're all over them. Let's go. 4th and goal. Great coverage. So come on, they have 22 yards to go to be able to get in the end zone. We need a big stop. We can do this. Big pressure too. Lear gets through. No way. Get swatted out. I think we got this game. I think that is going to require one more first down because they do have all 3 timeouts, but I think that we have the offense to do it. We're going to run to the outside right here. Good blocks. Oh my gosh, that's not Orlando. And he's not out. He must just have a lot of wear and tear. So I think what we're going to do is actually go with that jet touch pass to Mokafisi and just hope for the best right here. At the very least, we are wasting all their timeouts. And we got some good blocks. We might have a first down. We do, baby! And we seal this game! We win our championships with only athletes in our 6th season. And we can rest easy knowing that we end up beating 2 ACC teams and an SEC team to end up winning the national championship. Even though it didn't look like it at times, we definitely belonged here, and this team definitely showed it. As we finally, after 3 consecutive conference championships, finally get to the playoffs, make it to the championship game, and finally take it home for Florida Atlantic. The Owls are finally your national champions. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to say that in history, but dear God, I hope so, because this was a lot of fun. 16-0 on the season, 8-0 in conference. And if we take a look at this rebuild, we started off in the dumpster, man. 5-7, 6-7. But then again, 4 consecutive conference championships. 1 playoff appearance. We did end up getting that 1 win, but unfortunately couldn't beat Wisconsin. Then we end up winning our bowl game the next year, and then this one. We end up winning the American, the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the national championship to be able to end up going undefeated 16-0 in a season. Again, you know what? With the athletes, you have a lot of big benefits. Obviously, a lot of them are going to be very talented. You can kind of rearrange them a little bit, put them in different positions, so you have a lot of versatility with them. But again, being able to get offensive linemen and obviously like kickers and punters ends up being a little difficult. But obviously, it is very possible to win a national championship with them, as we end up getting to obviously #1 in the nation, a national championship, and just a great team overall. As we look at the final season stats, Triggs didn't quite get the 4,000 yards. Had a couple of rough playoff games, but that's okay. We end up getting it done in the end, but still, just short of 3,800 yards, 46 touchdowns with 9 interceptions. Poor McMillan had to come in that 1 game, but still not bad for him. That 1 touchdown, no picks, so we'll give him that. Orlando, 890 with 14 touchdowns. What an absolute workhorse. Triggs, 874 with 5 touchdowns himself. Mokafisi and Lowell, both over 1,000 yards. Mokafisi with 1,200, 16 tutties and 11 for Lowell. Hearns, who is our best receiver by overall standards, only 713, 8 touchdowns, but still a nice 3-headed beast there in the receiver room. And of course, our defense really came in strong at the end there. They're the reason why we ended up winning every single game in the playoffs, especially the one against Alabama and also Clemson too. But 9 TFLs for Straczynski, Gudugli 8 himself, Lear 6, same with Ariza, and Ariza just leading the team in sacks, 9 total, with Straczynski, Gudugli, and Jones at 5. Not too bad. I'm glad he ended up getting in and ended up making a difference. Lear with 4.5 as well. And of course, the interceptions, no one had more than 2, but it got spread around. Good old Danny Parms, 2 interceptions. Jose Holiday as well as Philip Mahinami ended up having 2, and then a lot of guys with just 1 themselves. Again, not stats that you necessarily see on a very dominant championship team, but still good enough for us to go undefeated and again, allow us to win that national championship. So again, can you do it with all athletes? You bet your f***ing ass you can. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go down and drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next rebuild.